Okay, this is March 17th, and this is the regular meeting of the Oregon City Commission. Good evening, I'm Alice Norris, the mayor.
Good morning, Commissioner President.
Fifth Commissioner.
U.S. Commissioner. Please stand and join me in the flag salute. As allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. This is actually a very important evening. You'll see that the agenda is filled with things that make a difference in the life of the city. And probably the most important one is the transition that we'll be making this evening. This is Larry Patterson's last evening, and we also are going to be, we're waiting on our human resources manager to announce our new city manager. I guess we can announce his name, but we will be approving his contract this evening. I think this is so important in the life of the community, and I think it was important to all of us that we have a seamless transition, that the information flow worked out so that we didn't have to go with an interim manager. And we have selected and will be approving the contract this evening of David Frazier, who most recently from Grants Pass, and he will be starting work here, I believe, the first or second week of April. So we're very excited about that. I know many of you got a chance to meet him, and there will be many opportunities to meet with him in the weeks ahead. So we will be looking at his contract a little later. Commissioner Nacina. That's actually a very important point. Thank you. In case you didn't hear that, it didn't sound like it reflected very well. That we selected our new city manager, David, on a unanimous vote. It was very important that we do that. All right, let's move on for agenda, and we'll move into citizen comment. Do we have anyone who's come to speak to us this evening on a non-agenda item? Seeing none, we will move on then to adoption of the agenda. As we look over the agenda, is there anything that anyone wishes to have moved forward for separate consideration, or anything off of the consent agenda?
There was some discussion about moving the decision on the new city manager forward.
I think the announcements. So we'll just wait and take it where it was, where it exists, if that's okay with you. All right, then we will take the agenda in the order in which it appears. I can get it back up. The first item on the agenda is a public hearing. This is a project that the Planning Commission has been working on for a very long time. It's been about a year, I believe. The update to our comprehensive plan, and it's 2 amendments. So this is a 6-month update, and Tony Conco, our development director, is here to walk us through that.
We want to walk through this is a land use hearing. Typically, at land use hearings, we get the warnings about providing, making sure testimony and comments are directed towards appropriate criteria and raising issues. That's for quasi-judicial hearings. As this is a legislative, it affects broad areas of land. There is no raise or waiver requirement, and certainly the criteria tend to be a little bit broader. You're making policy decisions that will control things in general. There's a broad spectrum of things that people might consider appropriate. So essentially, there isn't the same warnings. There is, however, issues, and we also go through bias, conflict of interest, and ex parte context. Again, because it's legislative, bias, you're expected to be biased. When you're making policy decisions, you bring your preferences and what you are elected for to the table as part of it. For ex parte context as well, there's no prohibition on ex parte context. You're not acting as a judge. There is, however, a conflict of interest. If you are doing something that affects, that would or could lead to financial benefit or detriment to your property, that is something you should disclose unless you're in a class, there's a class exemption. So if let's say you own commercial property, but there's 500 other commercial property interests in there and your property is going to be affected in the same way everybody else's is, that's not necessarily something you have to disclose because you're exempt as a class. It's if there's something part of these zone changes that affect your property individually and specifically and rather specially that you disclose a potential conflict of interest. Does that make sense?
Have anything to disclose?
No.
All right, seeing none. The purpose of this evening is to open the record and to hear from staff the issues involved, and then take public comment from any of you who have comments, and then we hope to continue the hearing to April 21st so that we'll have another opportunity, several opportunities actually, for you to give us feedback on the codes and policy changes that we're going to be talking about. Tony, let's get into it.
Mayor and Commissioner, thank you. So what we'll be presenting tonight is kind of the background of how we got to where we're at and how we're going to move forward from this point on. So I'll be presenting as you may recall, in July 1st of 2009, we adopted several amendments to our municipal code. It affected several chapters for partitions, public improvements, land use planning. As part of that adoption of that ordinance, we included a review. So at 6 months, we were to bring back additional amendments to address some outstanding issues that were identified by the Planning Commission and City Commission, as well as to make sure and go through that we've got all of our edits correct, a lot of formatting issues and cross-referencing, make sure all of that was taken care of and caught. As you can see, we've produced about 156 pages of proposed amendments. A lot of them are text, grammatical. There were some additional changes that have been incorporated, as well as we tried to address those issues that were identified as part of the last approval. On February 22nd of this year, the Planning Commission recommended approval to the City Commission. They held 5 hearings as they worked through all of this information and made their proposed changes to what had been provided by staff. They did forward the recommendation for a hearing tonight. And what we had hoped to have done was to have had a work session with the Planning Commission and City Commission in March. So we weren't able to do that. We are hoping to get that on for the April work session, and that is why we scheduled the next hearing for the April 21st to give us a chance to have a work session with the Planning Commission and address any clarifications that you may have as a commission before we do come back and present all the information and address all of your questions and concerns. We will be happy to take any questions and concerns that you have tonight, and if we can answer them tonight, we will. If not, we will definitely bring back those answers for you, either at the work session and or at that next public hearing on April 21st. What we've identified from the outstanding issues from before the Planning Commission tried to address, one was temporary structures, and through this process we've created a new definition in the zoning code that identifies exactly what a temporary structure is, and what we're looking at is a tarp or metal or fabric membrane that is attached to structures for storage. This does not include weatherproofing, such as for a boat or a car, so those have been exempted. We've also indicated how we would enforce this, and if it's visible from the right-of-way at pedestrian height in front of the home, it would be something that we would regulate. We've also proposed to not implement this until January 1st of 2011. This is to give us an opportunity, if this is what the Commission wishes to do, to try and get the word out to the Neighborhood Association, CIC, that this will be a new code that's going to be enforced. And one of the stipulations that the Planning Commission attached was that this would apply to existing as well as new. So there would not be a protection of a pre-existing non-conforming situation. So if it's a tarp that's been there for 2 or 3 or 4 years, code enforcement will potentially come and request that it be removed. They spent a lot of time on this issue trying to craft an equitable and fair definition, where it should be located, how it should be reviewed. They spent quite a bit of time, as I stated, on this. We've worked with the attorneys on the definition as well as the implementation, and we'll be happy to answer any questions as we move through this if you do have concerns about what that definition exactly says and whatnot. The second issue was the archaeological resources. We did have a presentation, as you may recall, earlier this year from a representative from the State Historic Preservation Office, and there was some discussion concerning the creation of a map. And as we worked with Ms. Wright on the creation of that map, it became apparent that SHPO did not have the resources to create such a map. And that she requested that we provide additional funds through a contractor to try and put together such a map. So we went back, and what we proposed is to apply to subdivision applications, partition applications, properties under review by the Historic Review Board, as well as site plan design review applications. So that would be pretty much all new development, additions to existing development, everything except a single-family house on an existing lot. But if there's any other disturbance, a letter from SHPO would be required prior to deeming that land use application for a partition subdivision site plan design review, HRB approval, before we would deem it complete. And what that would do is require the applicant to contact SHPO before they even get very far along the land use process to learn what measures should be taken on that specific site that they're proposing development. So SHPO would be informing them of what, if it's an area of concern, if there's the potential for running into archaeological artifacts on that site, what precautions should be taken as you're prepping that site for development, and then if something is discovered, what route to take to remedy the situation. So this is what staff has proposed and the Planning Commission agreed with, is to adopt this new completeness requirement. And I guess I should also say that if SHPO doesn't respond within 45 days of being notified by the applicant, we will deem the application complete at that point. So we're proposing to utilize this method to handle archaeological investigation of sites within Oregon City for development, and to wait to adopt a map at a later date if funding becomes available to do a citywide archaeological map creation. We've also identified two other options, and there certainly are more out there, but these are the two that we've identified working with the Planning Commission, is to adopt these regulations as proposed and not spend the money and resources to create a map. And then the third issue would be to not adopt these regulations at this point and wait to adopt a map and regulations at some later date when funding and resources become available. The fourth issue concerned commercial zoning in the South End area as part of that concept plan area, as well as the sign code.
Can I ask you a question, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Is there an estimate on how much a map would cost?
But we can, I can try and give an estimate on that at our next meeting or work session. Issue 34 concerning South End, commercial zoning as well as the sign code, and we've deferred both of those to a later date. The sign code is actually in Chapter 15, so we could handle that through a different process. And the commercial zoning in South End, that's probably more appropriate as the South End concept plan is created, as well as you may see in the record, we had 3 requests for zone changes to either upzone or downzone properties in the city. And we're recommending that we not do any zone changes as part of this code amendment cleanup. That wasn't the intent of this process, and we have not done the transportation studies necessary to justify those zone changes at this point. Fifth issue concerns the tree regulations on private property. I believe that it was identified that we would not be at this time pursuing tree removal permits citywide on private property. We'd like to say that we thought through this process included updated and more aggressive tree protection requirements in steep slope areas, natural resource overlay districts. We have a heritage tree program as a voluntary measure. We've also provided extra incentives for developments to protect heritage trees, large trees, and tree growths through density bonuses and density transfers and subdivisions and partitions and site plan and design review. We've offered extensive credits if you can protect this groves or trees that are identified on a development site. And we've also increased the mitigation requirements when a development does remove trees. Previously, if you had 3 or 4 acres and you're coming in with a subdivision, and you had your right-of-way where your new streets are going to be located. If there were trees located in that right-of-way, they didn't need to be mitigated for. Now we've differentiated, and all trees removed from a site, they're not deemed hazardous by an arborist, would need to be mitigated. We have a different level if it's in the right-of-way versus trees that you're just removing because you want to grade the whole site flat.
Neely?
Conservation areas also conservation as not necessarily a co-located for as a non-development area. How easy is it for someone to undo a conservation easement and want to do some building at that particular site?
It would depend on how the conservation was read or written. If there was any or if there were any, if it was deeded to such as a conservancy agency or whatnot. So I don't know, Bill, if you have anything to add to that.
Let's kind of depend on what happened with the conservation easement. To the extent typical conservation easement grants to somebody else the ability to protect an area from certain things. If that entity that has the ability to protect it chooses not to follow through on it, then the conservation easement is essentially not doing its job. So, you know, if somebody has a conservation easement and grants it to the city would be able to enforce that. But if it's to the Nature Conservancy and the Nature Conservancy decides its focus is somewhere else and it wasn't going to enforce it.
I'd try to consider some language there, and of course I don't know if we've ever had a conservation easement application yet, we may not have. I think the conservation easement is granted, presumably there's some value associated with that property for whatever reasons that they request the conservation easement. And it seems to me that we might want to look at some kind of a more intense review process on that should the conservation easement be lifted if that's legally possible. So it's something I'd like you to think about.
So I'm not completely understanding what you.
Conservation purposes. Now, specifically as only conservation easement is no longer I think we need to look at those, give that a particular review if we decide we want to do some building and some trees that are being moved and so forth. Because they're presumably it's a better value of the original property owners put on the value of those, of the natural conditions there. Something we discuss to think about.
Okay. So we have provided several changes concerning how we protect, preserve, and mitigate for trees. While it may not be on every single lot that exists in the city, it does address development and redevelopment within the city. One of the changes that we made was for as we recall, our water resource overlay district was renamed as the natural resource overlay district to encompass the neighborhoods requirements from Metro. And one of the changes that we made to that section included the construction of new utility lines, whether it be water or sewer, through a natural resource overlay district crossing a stream. What was put in place is that those utilities need to be placed in the right of way. If they are not placed in the right of way, they will need to go in front of the Planning Commission as a Type 3 application for consideration, and that includes an evaluation of why it needs to go there, why it can't be somewhere else, as well as the mitigation that would occur associated with that to try and address some of those concerns that were raised concerning the sewer pipe across from the Caulfield subdivision. We've also included no impact design standards for stormwater treatment and plumbing rates and offer and on development sites for commercial buildings that include credits for utilizing that type of low impact design, credits for landscaping, to reduce some of the landscaping requirements, as well as providing alternatives to the parking lot design to try and accommodate tree preservation and those and stormwater swales within parking lots. We've also written in concerning commercial buildings, institutional buildings, multifamily buildings. We do have a screening requirement for the rooftops of new buildings and existing buildings with modifications that are made to it, but we have proposed to exempt solar and wind installations on top of those, that those don't need to be screened. We specified that in the code. We have had increasing requests to provide those on buildings within Oregon City and institutional buildings at Clackamas, for Clackamas County. We've also changed the concept master plan to a new name of a general master plan to try and reduce some of the confusion between the concept planning for Metro and what we're doing for master plans on sites within Oregon City. We've also proposed to remove in the transportation part for the review. There's a reference to safety, off-site safety, and the term was very vague as to what constitutes safe. So we're proposing to remove that section. We still have methods to look at off-site intersection impacts by the trips being created, queuing distances, turning movements. It's just this term safety was very, very hard to try and get a handle on how far out do you go and what is safe according to what standard when there actually isn't one. So we have proposed to remove that.
Here it says safely, but is it supposed to be safety?
No, let me go back and check real quick if it was what the...
Safety from.
No, it's removing them.
Safety from.
No,
Safety from?
no, it's removing the term safely from the 17.65.05.
You can get back to you. Request for upzoning of properties. As I stated earlier, we're not recommending that we do any comprehensive plan amendments or zone changes as part of this process. Any of those applicants, private property owners, can come in and request that through the land use process on their own. And the reason for this is that we are not, as I stated, doing the transportation analysis to show compliance with the transportation planning rule to justify those zone changes at this point. That was never part of the work scope of this of these updates. You also have a request concerning addressing lots that are created illegally within the city. So what we've run into is you can go to the tax assessor and record a deed, and then sell that property without going through the land use process, whether it be a partition or a subdivision in Oregon City. The request is that we adopt the Oregon Revised Statute language concerning legalizing those lots. Even if we adopted that language, it would not remedy the situation that the applicant, the person making the request, is bringing forward. This is a difficult situation to retroactively approve an illegal land division when it will not meet the Oregon City Municipal Code. There are alternatives. Unfortunately, it does require two property owners to cooperate to sign an application and come in and request that we go through the land use process and address it. In some cases, it may require a variance to some of our standards. We have not come up with acceptable code language that I would recommend at this point to the city commission that we adopt. We have existing code in place. There are alternatives and methods within the code to address this. But we'll be certainly happy to address any questions or concerns you have, either myself or Mr. Kavaisman, once you hear public comment, or if you come along that as part. It's one of the exhibits in the record as well.
Legally established lots are there more than just the very few that you mentioned? Or are those the only ones you know about?
It's the first thing we adjust them as we find them. Yeah, so every quarter we receive from Clackamas County new lots that have been created. And if we identify one that never went through our process, we flag it. so that if we do have a potential buyer calling us, we can identify that property, or if someone does come in and try and pull a building permit on it, we can identify it then as well. We've been doing that for the last couple of years, probably 3 or 4 years, so we're still finding things as we go through historically. We try our best to identify them and address them as we can. So tonight, I was hoping to just give kind of an overview. There's a lot of information there. We realize you just received this to give you a chance. There's a lot going on to read through it. Hopefully, the Planning Commission and City Commission work session will help. We can walk through with much more detail. And tonight, we'd be happy to take any concerns you have right now or questions, and if we can answer them, we will. If not, we will have an answer for you at our next work session or at the next public meeting. We would certainly be happy to enter them in the record at that point as well. But with that, as I said, we're hoping to have that work session on April 13th, and then the next hearing, we're recommending that we do continue the public hearing with the record open to April 21st of 2010.
Round up the questions that we have so that Tony can come back to us at a future date or something that can be answered here. First, Commissioner West.
Thank you for your presentation, Tony. I have updated the codes numbers like the 1304 to 1312, where we were talking about stormwater and sewer changes and incentives. So, is there a budgetary impact for that? I guess right now no building's going on, so there isn't any. But right now, but is there any way to identify?
The ones that we're making in Chapter 13.
Yeah, if that is the chapter that concerns the incentives
or the incentive for like tree protection and whatnot.
different options, what do you call them?
Or for low impact design. There's no monetary impact. We're not proposing FDC reductions at this point, system development charge reductions, or application reductions at this point. We just limited funding.
Financial, okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Insight development.
I have a question, just a little one. The change to general master plan means that the stuff we do in the city is that, and we still do concept plans for Metro? Okay, thank you. Then the other one is since we have the New Creek Canyon area that's come into our urban reserve, essentially, when we signed the IGA with the county, I'm wondering if maybe at the joint planning commission meeting, could use that as a case study for how the new Natural Resources Overlay District might work in practice in a zone, in a land use like that. And
what we can do is we have a lot of the topographical as well as stream data throughout the canyon, so we can identify where the streams are, where the slopes are, what the protections would look like in that area, and kind of build on that base layer and try to address some of your concerns and questions.
I think that would be very practical to do that, because I know that was the intent that the county had when they assigned us the stewardship of Mill Creek Canyon into the future, even though it's certainly not annexed yet. Other questions you want to put on the table? Commissioner Neely.
Recommendation as it says is 1204 25C. Oh, 425C, yeah. Okay. The same thing as what we call breakfast strip as well.
This is to address vehicles jumping the curb going into a private property. So they have a driveway cut, and they'll put a fence on the side with a gate.
Somebody crossing over a parking strip.
No.
Okay. She doesn't like laughter.
It's a joke, always, being up and down,
What concerns you might have?
Actually, it doesn't want to show us no to it. Can't park on a parking strip, is that true?
I don't think the intent of this was to address that. This was for RVs jumping curbs, cracking them. Okay.
So anything about stormwater swale?
So more questions.
All of these questions out there after the public hearing, this is one of the things we get to. So we have the public hearing.
Okay, I'd like to open the public hearing then. And the first speaker is Dan Birch. And just to remind everyone, when you come to the microphone, please give us your name, the city in which you live, and then you may speak to us. So our clock goes to 0. 3 minutes.
Dan Berg, 2122 Highway 213, Oregon City. I got two requests tonight. One is my property on Highway 213. You gave me existing use several years back. I can't remember, 4 or 5 years back. It's on the back page. And I asked for a zone change to make it similar to the property next to me in C1. The reason I come in my business license, I get a problem for utilizing the fact that I do have the exemption there. So I'd like to maybe get that addressed, if we could, the city of Oregon is, granted me access to Highway 213. I've got a right-of-way easement with them for my commercial business. We've sold out half the property, so it's half the size, so it's, not as much traffic as before. So if we could consider that, would be nice. Second item I have is the illegal operation. Where the party next door would have to sign on the application. Well, the party next door is not willing or able to sign on the application. So I've got a piece of property that was valued at $150,000. It's been reduced by the tax assessor office to $37,000. And just is sitting there doing nothing. So I'm requesting something similar to the state of Oregon statute that might allow us to get something done with the property, or open for any other anything else could happen. But
This is the same statute that you provide us, that's saying 2.176. Thank you.
that's all I have.
May I ask, I don't know what it is, but Mr. Michael, I know there was reference in here somewhere, was this the concern, and so you don't know that concern in this code, or is it you just referenced him? Okay. No, I don't know if we have to deal with that here, but I just wanted to make sure. I know who's there, second.
Thank you. I don't see anyone else that's signed up to speak, so I'll close the public hearing. I guess the hearing is continued until April 21. Mr. Mooney. Just before you speak, I'm going to suggest the people who are on the agenda that if you have questions that you can put on the table, perhaps ask anyone in the workroom so that Tony can get back to us rather than answer them this evening unless you know, unless they're short.
There's no reason the commission can't send those either fax them directly or email those questions and have them answered.
Okay. Well, I'll speak to these points later, just as long as we can address it at the study session, that's fine.
Okay, make sure you get some time, then we can have the answers. Is there people who have anything on the table at this time? Okay, thank you for the presentation. Well, it'd be interesting going through that. Back to the agenda then. Next item on the list is the purchase possibility of Easton School for a new city library. We've been talking about this for some weeks, and tonight we have before us a request and a sale agreement, and Commissioner Smith. Yes, you need to. Or you meant you need to.
I will be sitting in the audience. I'm an employee of Oregon City School District, and so I'm not deliberating on this topic.
Commissioner Smith has what's called a conflict of interest. Thank you. Is library director is here to walk us through the information and to lead us for the decision.
So, Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, thank you very much. Tonight we're here to continue our conversation about the possible purchase of Easton School as the next permanent home of the library, and to consider entering into a sales agreement with the school district. And I wanted to answer a couple of questions that have come up and then talk about the sales agreement, and we have the library board would like to address you, and we have other people in the audience that might also be able to answer questions who are here tonight. So one of the questions that arose was which seismic upgrades have been done to the auditorium. And so what I have learned from our architect without a very extensive look is that the walls of the gymnasium are concrete all the way up to the roof line. And then where those walls join the roof, there's been some seismic work done there. I'm saying that correctly. So because it's solid concrete, no shear wall was required. All right. Does that answer your question?
It might be the architect who addressed it, who was actually a local social person who was talking to me about levels of seismic heaviness, and talking about level 2, which means people are going to be able to get out of the structure after an earthquake, all the way to a level 5, in which the can be used essentially immediately afterwards. And as you recall, my interest was one of the public buildings, if any, in which concern for if you have a major earthquake in which a lot of housing is destroyed and they'd be able to come into these buildings. And I was wondering if you put this into a level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categorization or not.
County, LRS Architects, live in unincorporated Clackamas County. I do not have the information that I could really put that into that category. I have, what I do know from the building code definition of the occupancy categories, there's sort of a 1 through 4 category. 4 being essential services facilities such as new police station, fire station, hospital. What the school falls under and what the design and the retrofit, according to all the documents we've seen, takes it to the 2003 code, occupancy level 3. So that's 3 out of the 4. So it's basically conforms to a school requirement, which is not occupancy level 3. So.
You have no idea what that means in terms of, say, the seismic 6 or 8 what we're worried about a great deal.
Yeah, I could not answer, I would not begin to answer that. I could not tell you that without a little more investigation, a little more detail. What we do.
For you? I mean, you think you could answer that question for a little bit more time?
If I had a little information on the building, I could probably tell you. One of the things that we would need to determine is what the rebar is in the concrete of the walls in the building, and the old documents don't really identify that. If we had that information, that can be done through testing. That's something we did actually at the old City Hall, the police station, to do the testing for the seismic work there. And that's sort of the next level of study, and part of what we would, if asked, we could do that as part of the due diligence of, you know.
Well, especially to the city, but it's dominated in the same categories as a central facility. I mean, people are using housing, not going to move into the fire station. I mean, there's a lot and so forth, and there's some public facilities that would meet the same standard that we know we're going to be able to house people in should a need arise.
Yeah, it's definitely a stout building. I mean, definitely the concrete and the way it's been been constructed, that end of the building was very stout. I just can't tell you exactly what's going to happen or where it falls into that 5-level category.
Just at the top of your head, how much it would cost to make that evaluation? Should you not have any of the reborn information still?
No. Give me a day or so. I want to Maureen and kind of pass that information on to her. So I don't want to do it off the top of my head. I wouldn't be doing it. I would have an engineer be doing it. I wouldn't want to quote for her.
It is valuable information for us.
And because the basement is a bomb shelter, probably doesn't have a bearing on the earthquake liability.
I don't know. There's nothing that's come across that indicates it's a bomb shelter.
Oh,
So I don't know. I mean,
the district always told us that, so.
I might consider that word of mouth. There's nothing that we found coming across the documents. We don't have access to everything.
That's interesting.
What was evaluated for, well, in the 1950s, and then I'm sure it was.
Maybe there's a lot of windows in that building. Maybe it's one of the structures. Maybe the boiler room, for example, might be. All right, who's to say? Yeah,
We won't speculate.
that would be speculative.
We'll find out more about how much that might cost and we'll get back to you.
Yep.
Would you like to hear from the library board next?
Harriet Shaw, the vice chair of the library board and a county resident, library services. And I believe you have a letter in your packet that I included in the packet that we both found it very important that the board members of the library board support the purchase of Eastern School as the only reasonable alternative for the relocation of the Oregon City Library from the Hilltop Mall. We toured the building, we reviewed the purchase terms, and we discussed the limited alternatives. And I think that took up most of our discussion in our 3 meetings that we had. We kept attempting to identify other affordable alternatives that would work faced with many of the other needs of Oregon City, such as mundane things like police stations and such. And we couldn't come up with anything that would fit the bill. I also happened to serve on the last site committee where Easton was very high on the list as far as sites, possible sites. And I've been on the library board now for, well, 8 years officially and ex officio for about 3, so I think I've got the longest tenure there. And all I can say is I personally am delighted that it looks like we're moving forward ever since I moved back home and have been attending either friends or board meeting. We have been getting almost monthly updates of how much longer we would have in the Danielson Shopping Center. And I don't know how many lease extensions we've been through, so we've known this happening. We've and it's our agenda. The last one I think we ever extension we ever had was about a year. It's always been. But we would really appreciate you approving this sale because time is of the essence. There's a lot of planning, a lot of moving to do. And I would like to add one extra thought, which is remember that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we're selling books at the so that all of the please come and buy books. For 5 cents and 10 cents, and a bag full on Sunday will cost you about 50 cents. Any other questions? Any questions?
Thank you.
So we just got the contract back from the school district today, the sales contract that's been going back and forth with a few revisions. And we do have some things yet to work out with the school district. We do have some things that we do want to definitely discuss with them. Their attorney is here tonight in addition to Ted Donstad, the facilities manager, supervisor, and our attorney is here. So this, you've seen the contract. If you have questions, this might be a great time to ask them.
Any questions for the school district or about the contract itself? There's a citizen who has a question. Okay, then would you come forward to the microphone, introduce yourself and the city in which you live or community.
My name is Shirley Hall. I'm a 20-year citizen of Oregon City. I'm just a little bit confused about how there can be a sales contract when the building has not been declared surplus property by the district yet.
I think probably the person to answer that would be the school district's attorney.
My name is Rod Boutin. I'm an attorney representing the Oregon City School District in this transaction. I reside in the Lake Grove area, Lake Oswego. The answer to that specific question is that there is a document that is being negotiated and circulated that reflects the evolving thinking of the buyer and the seller in the transaction. It has not yet been submitted to the district board for its final action, and when that occurs, the board would pass the appropriate resolution.
Any questions? Okay.
So my question is, do you want to take any action on this tonight, or what would you like? How would you like to direct me on it?
I would certainly like the commission to have a discussion, and I think the community is expecting us to move towards a decision. Though since we don't have a final contract and you're under negotiation, perhaps it would be a tentative decision pending successful contract agreement. Is that where you'd all like to go? Commissioner Naylor, I see you're down to speak first.
Obviously, many times I do not think it's the ideal place for a main facility of Oregon City that's not central to the users. However, any decision to build a facility would have to go to a vote for a bond for the actual building. The business to do a great deal, which they've done in the last 4 years or less, in terms of the library district, in terms of raising property annexation to Clackamas Valley District nationals, libraries increase the taxes of the residents. And this economy, I do not feel comfortable to go out for another bond issue and to make that request to the voters again. The degree of urgency, the options available to us, we have a degree of urgency in terms of building a facility. I do believe we're going to be in a temporary location for some time before we'll be able to occupy whatever facility we identify. This one is going to require us to go beyond this, that requires each of the city to use the resources the county has available to do that. And I think that's going to be one of the greatest driving factors for me. We also want to see how far we did allow us to hear from the former mayor, John Williams, and what he was pushing for the concept of branch drivers, which I have no opposition to. I do think even if we go for the branch driver system, and on the side of our district, I think there'd be services that could be better rendered by having branch drivers that would distribute to the front of our city, because our primary district extends all the way through Paris, actually Betts Canada extends through Beaver Creek. It's a very large district. It's the largest areas, and people-wise. So we need to meet that need, and branch libraries, I think, are necessary. I think we still have to have a central facility. And there's two major reasons why that's the case. The Memphis Library is a very important source for many people. It's used heavily. And I don't think we can support the Memphis Library in a branch system. I think we have to have a main system to support it. We have distance shortage programs. I think you have to have that as central location. You may be able to take programs to the branch libraries and so forth, but in terms of resource and ability to hire staff, there's some of those things I think that have to be done in a centralized facility. I think the need for a branch system is there in the future, and I think we need to look at that, but I don't think that's the major issue that we're dealing with at this point. I think we have to look for a national central facility, even though it isn't as central as I'd like it to be.
Sir Nacita.
We talked about this at our last meeting. I mentioned 2 points. One, that I thought this location in the building held a lot of promise as a library for Oregon City. And I spent some times enumerating the reasons, and I won't go over that ground again. I also mentioned at that meeting that I was hung up on the asking price. We're all having time and talking to a lot of people and getting a lot of comments from citizens, making my own inquiries. It basically confirms those opinions that I have. I think it's a very good potential location for a library. I'm even less inclined at this point, talking to some local real estate brokers, reading the appraisal in the packet carefully, to pay $4 million for this building, even in installments. And for the reasons that Mr. really just gave about the tightness of the economy and the people and sacrifices people are being asked to make in this economy, I agree that this is not the time to go out for a bond issue. But I also think it's not time to pay $1.1 million above the appraisal price. So I'm not going to vote for moving forward on this at the $4 million asking price. I propose engaging in a back and forth negotiation and making an offer. I have my own house purchase as my own personal roadmap for not going after the asking price right away and driving a hard bargain. And I was taking that appraisal, some of the comparables. Well, there wasn't a single comparable within the city, for example. On the other hand, I don't find any justification for any reliance on the real market value that the assessor came up with. Frequently on the questions document, there was also a point made that the asking price is the midpoint between the 2008 real market value from the assessor and the appraisal price and the appraisal that the school board obtained. I also pointed out that the 2009 real market value went down substantially, and yet we didn't use a midpoint for that 2009 value, which I think reflects the current situation more accurately. So, my bottom line on this is kind of simple. It's a great place. I don't think I can support the asking price.
Mr. West. You heard me last week express some concerns over the price, but I'd like to think I've worked my way through that. And so here's my little 2 cents about it. The appraised value is not the complete picture and the complete answer on the selling price of this school. Because I feel that the true value of a price is circumstantial, and here's what I mean by that. So in other words, the true value is what the school is willing to pay for a property and what the buyer is willing to, sell a property and what the buyer is willing to pay. And the circumstantial reasons of this decision for me there is what Commissioner Neely said, in that we do not have to go to the citizens to run a bond. And the other reason I'm not saying on the price with the $4 million anymore or not anymore, but it's because this really isn't the price of the library. It is the price of the library, but it isn't. It's not in the price of the library. In other words, we get the funds for it. We get potential for overflow office space. We get so we're going to lose the community sanitarium, we can keep that cafeteria space, for the community to still use. And there's many opportunities with that property, rather than the 17,000 square feet that we can use for public and private partnerships. So, if we can look at a little piece, I'm leaning towards making that decision, purchasing.
We all reiterated our concerns as well as our ideas on this in last meeting too, but I guess because this is then and that was then, this is now and that was then, I will review as well. I agree with Commissioner West that this isn't just a library. It solves a number of community problems for us. We likely can move another perhaps community development into the building and not pay rent there. The financial deal works, and that's not small potatoes. It is the fact that we don't have to go to the people, but it is we use it within existing resources that the citizens voted for already. The parking is adequate. The fact that it's almost 3 acres of property in a really nice neighborhood, it's very much more walkable to the neighbors than the current location, actually. I think this is a point that Commissioner West said last time, but I'm going to use it more today. It doesn't affect the assessed value of the community either. It doesn't affect the taxes because this building is already off the tax rolls, so it doesn't create an imbalance there. I like the fact of reusing a building. Our number one goal is sustainability, to create a sustainable community, and there's no higher definition of sustainability than in recycling a building. The 82.21 square foot cost for the facility, when you look at the comparables that we've been given from other neighbors who get libraries, it's a well better price. And the fact that we can do it within our existing funds. The other thing that I like, I agree with whoever was from the library board, I think it's Harriet, said that there really are no good alternatives. And in this economy, the need for a library, I think, is immense. The fact that people need to have it to because they're unemployed, because they need those resources and they don't have them in other places right now. I really would like to be able to have a full-service library rather than be crammed into an interim space, none of which we've found to be adequate size. So, do I like the price? No, but it's more than a library and solves so many problems for us. It's difficult to get a good price, I think, as a public agency many times because we're so public about it. The other thing I guess I've always wished that I were the mayor of Portland where I could say, let's take money from here to help the schools, because I believe that the partnership between the city and the schools is a huge partnership, and so I guess part of me says this is a way we can also help our struggling school district, and we all know that schools are having a rough time right now. So I guess as a good partner, I can support this, and it's time. We're in a time crunch as well. I don't want to do it because of the time crunch, but except for that one little piece, I think it really makes huge good sense for the community. We've got a chance to speak. Commissioner Neely, I hope this might be a motion.
Well, it might be, but it'll be at the end of my comment. There's another element. I really have to focus money into fixing this as a library. However, the space is there. We're probably going to have to build down the walls. I'm not sure we could limit it if we wanted to, but the problem is the floor space is already there. And the command floor space in the gymnasium, floor space in the cafeteria. Really disappointing effects for me from the restoration of the Carnegie, restoration of the Carnegie. And when the restoration occurred, there was some loss of floor space in the area that we were using as a children's museum. And it does serve the same function once that restoration occurred. This is going to be a facility can be a multi-purpose facility. I believe that we're going to be able to bring the Children's Museum and involve the Parks program in certain parts of that facility. So I think there's going to be some real broad benefits to that particular building. And I think with the that building to some of the existing building will probably be easier just because the floor space is already available to us in that structure. And the whole facility would be cost prohibitive. There's no question about that. And so, since I got a request, I would like to before I start, how are the things that are going to happen before we purchase this for the use of the school? It's still sounds
Library.
We have to go through a zone change. We have to go to the planning commission. We have to try to hurry the process so simply because we're talking about the seizures. It's going to take some time to get through this process, and again, I'm just required by negotiations after the school district. So, if probably we're going to do over the next 2 months, or even like 6 months, or maybe even next 9 months, to do some restoration work in there, or restoration work to prevent the library, but that's not going to happen. At least, it isn't going to work. And so,
Is there a second? Second. Moved by Commissioner Noe, seconded by Commissioner West.
A question of clarification. When you say that, in your motion, are you saying that assuming the $4 million price?
My calculation is pretty bad in terms of my statement. The plan has been offered to us. If we made it better, the next one, nothing federal has been brought back in terms of passing of this to the school board. Nothing formally is being brought back to us.
Is there a question about that? Do you have any comments on that?
So it's an important question for me because if there's a vague, I mean, I can support moving forward with the understanding that it is highly likely that when the final negotiated contract comes back, that it involves a $4 million asking price, against it. The precise wording you're using right now, I don't have any opposition to that.
The problem is, everyone is saying they're coming back to us at $4 million, but the problem is you're in a position, if you wanted to where I propose to move forward, with the understanding that when it comes back to it, you really vote against the agreement.
It won't be the final.
At this point, we have to. We're negotiate. This is an important for us in executive session, and so. From a standpoint of I'm not going to stand as it is.
All right, we'll assume that we have to have a contract in print before us that we will vote up or down at our, possibly our next meeting in 2 weeks.
No opportunity exists.
I just want to add a little bit more clarification on this $4 million price tag, because I'm sure I don't know what you're thinking, but I want to tell you what I'm thinking. Maybe it'll answer some of these questions out there. Because in reality, not looking at many other buildings in the community and in the neighborhood or up in Red Soils that are for $2.5 million to $5 million. that may be around 10 to 20,000 square feet, no, they're not 20, but 10,000 square feet, we were considering them, but we were talking that we wouldn't have to go for a bond, but the fact that the school district is going to give us terms on this, so if a $4 million purchase, a $3 million, a $2 million, a $5 million, we don't have work for the city of Oregon City to buy labor because we do not have a lump sum. So the fact that the school district is willing to take payments on this really sweetens the pot. So besides the no bond, and it's a two-part.
Okay, I vote for the vote. Yes, the vote, please.
Commissioner West. Commissioner Nocita. Commissioner Neely. Mayor Norris.
Motion passes 4-0.
Subsequent discussion and perhaps a motion to make on this same issue of the school. Because I'm conscious we're going to have to be going through a difficult land use application process for the zone change. And there's been some concern expressed about traffic in particular and the ability of Molalla to handle that traffic. And I'd like to preface my comments by welcoming back our Public Works Director because I'm going to direct some questions both to her and to our Community Development Director. During our last meeting, I did raise the point that it has been discussed sometime in the future that we have planned and actually have purchased some property for a roundabout right where that right at Eastham, where Division comes into Molalla. And it may be, I'm not going to speculate, but it may be that that type of roundabout might improve the traffic situation there. And, if we do invest in Easton and place the library there and the traffic issues are there, that this could help out relieve some of that issue and, perhaps assist with whatever concerns will arise during the zone change. I also learned after the meeting last time that is kind of way off in the future. Maybe not even dedicated funding. And I'm just wondering, as part of this process, whether we can consider a process of bumping up in the priority of all our transportation plans, the creation of this roundabout, so that it can be considered in conjunction with this zone change application, so that the calculations of the traffic relief could facilitate, whatever concern or address whatever concerns might arise during this land use planning process.
Nancy? Microphone on. Thank you. Doesn't sound like it. Ramona?
So the roundabout, we've done some preliminary sketches for a roundabout there, and they were promising, but there are some but the preliminary sketches we did show were promising. And in terms of the timing on it, I can check in my proper work plans for you, Commissioner. That is
on the 5-year plan. I our SEC budget is fairly low. Low. And I project the revenues from SDCs, transportation SDCs, have been miserable in the last 3 or 4 years. So we weren't getting the revenues we had hoped to keep with those kind of 5-year plans that we've been looking at. And of course, that needs to be updated with the work that we've been doing over the last year and looking at the end of this budget year and all that. So I told some with certainty when we could budget it. The date certain, but at least some certainty in terms of where to go all those two projects. And then just a little more about the traffic. Given the fact that, I mean, the traffic will be concentrated in a different location, I haven't looked at any of the traffic counts for the library. And I also haven't looked at the distribution of the traffic, but some of the traffic is probably already on Malone that goes to the library. So realizing that quite a bit of our circulation is from south of Oregon City, that would be additional traffic coming to this location though.
The traffic issue actually will be part of the zoning change as well, won't it? So that does have to be addressed in multiple ways.
Yeah, but the rural and corridor plan had some fairly good traffic projections in it, and so we can look at that more carefully in the future.
Thank you. Are you able to move on?
No.
Commissioner Newman?
It's the same thing, however. Not to cause the part, Commissioner Smith, of course, you look at it, and one part I'd like to make, I better go along with it. I really haven't extended question the other day to McLaughlin. The Press Street is not civilized where it could be. The point is, we have signals on 14th Street on Washington Street, we have no signals on Press Street, but Press Street really provides far greater accessibility for people coming off of Morale and so forth than 14th does. So, I think from the position of dealing with traffic on 7th Street in particular, police vehicles are simply trying to take to McLaughlin and to central Oregon City. We don't like that, but some people have to do that. It is easy work that I think is going to heavily used when that roundabout comes in. So I guess what I'm suggesting, and you probably do your own, is to take a look at it holistically, that there are other benefits that have resulted in some of the improvements we've made that will, I think, enhance the direction you need to bring that forward in terms of a project. It's not only the library, but it's some of the things that serves that area.
Okay. All right, thank you. Let's move on to the related item then on the agenda, which is the interim location of the library, since currently we are expected to be out of the current place on May 31st. So, and Commissioner Smith will return, as this does not pose a conflict of interest for him. Okay.
So, Honorable Mayor and City Commission, thank you again for addressing this library as you stated, we are leased currently, well, after the extension time, our lease will formally end on May 31. So, as of June 1, we need to be in a new location. And I've given you a recommendation in my report that if we decided to go ahead with the purchase of Eastham, and that if our timeline of moving into Eastham was less than 1 year, that we take up temporary residence in the Carnegie Center, and that if we were going to be longer than 1 year, whether we purchased Eastham or not, just whether the process got out longer than a year, that we look at other long-term, short-term to long-term options, depending on what we ended up doing. Now, after what we just finished, it looks like the purchase of Eastham is moving forward.
Forward in time.
Yeah, and theoretically, if we started a rezoning process relatively soon, and then started construction relatively soon after that, we could still wrap this whole process up and be located in Eastham in less than a year.
So 7 to 9 months residential change. and then some time for the remodeling, right? And then, so the two expenses that, if we purchase Eastham, that we would incur would be, movement to Carnegie Center, which is a smaller location, so the most important things, like photo reference and other, services, and we also have to have storage as well.
Right.
So
We also have some storage as well. That's correct.
we had to talk about the advantages of using, Carnegie Center.
And disadvantages.
And the disadvantages, yeah, both.
The advantages of having Carnegie Center is that we already own it. That's a huge advantage. What else does it have going for it? It used to be a library, so it still has shelves available, and as far as being right, it has the capacity for weight bearing, although we will want to double check that. Because depending on how many shelves you put in, that makes a big difference. The disadvantage was the space. It's only 6,000 square feet. And we're currently in a space that's 13,000 square feet. So what we don't have to do is to limit the collections that we have at that location. And what we are thinking is that we would have as many children's and learning materials as possible, probably, and then store a lot of the older fiction and older nonfiction. And those titles then would have to come via holds from other libraries, is basically what would have to happen. So it does place an impact and a burden on the other libraries in our county, because we would not be able to provide, instant access to those titles. There would be a lot less browsing, because we would be in a space that's, less than half the size of what we have now. So it would change the flavor of the library for a period of time. It will definitely reduce the type of service that we could offer. And some of it would also provide some other opportunities, though. For instance, we're in a park. I mean, this summer we could have programs in the park, So it would be a trade-off of some things. But in the long run, we look at this as a very temporary thing, and we could make do because the city already owns it, and therefore the bulk of our money could go towards the remodeling efforts that would be happening at Eastham, and that would be a huge bonus right there. Parking is also an issue at the Carnegie Center.
Okay.
And we may want to ask the community development director about parking.
Okay, you are asking us this evening for a motion, for a vote to determine the interim location.
That's right. Because you guys do really need to have some time to plan. You need even longer than I thought. To do the move and just to make it all happen.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Neely?
In executive session, you had before us other alternatives. Since it's the time we're talking about it, I'm going to in fact bring up one of the other locations, which was, of course, the county, forecast, I think, was the cheapest, 30,000, right? You did talk to us about the potential leasing of the antique mall, and that might. Can't do that? Go ahead. Location, and the fact that is talked about the location. I think we need to talk about the time constraints that are on us. And the positive things that came out about that was there is parking available.
That's correct.
And at the more space available, so instead of your concerns of how it functioned with the other libraries in the county, there's a greater concern. Not all the floor space can be accessed by anybody because of an elevator that's there that could not be used for handicap purposes, but still, the big county up there, broadband or whatever, there are other mechanisms of dealing with it. And the second part of it is that there's a desire for decisions that are coming from the task force of the library of leaders to come forward in less than a year's time, those things could occur. We haven't dealt with some of the issues we would have to go through a reuse of the library, if I understood that correctly.
Yes, the change in use with the intensification requires going through a site plan review.
So if we have a process, what process is going to end up being. And I also we want to proceed here because you've got a to go further. I would suggest that we look at a separation of board and application, and I've seen that it was not falling out of favor, but of course, we've heard about this. Everybody's jumping up and down. Submission because we're there. I think the Carnegie is a preferable one, but we've got some issues that I think we have to look at that are real uncertainties to us. And this with us can go for all the time. I mean, I'm looking for a rest here. I think the next year is optimistic. I think a year is more likely. Before we go through anything.
I'm sticking with 9 months.
But the problem is that we have those kinds of concerns. Simply because of water library and so forth, we do to use the Carnegie, but I don't think we're likely to push a motion at this meeting. I would like to explore the second alternative of that before we do that. And come back at that, and let's not need to make a decision. I think we have to make a decision in the next meeting because of the time constraint. We have to get the books out of there by the end of May, right? So I realize the urgency of the situation, but I want everybody to be clear. There's some serious major issues that we have here with using Carnegie. I presume a reuse is required for the antiquary as well. There are spaces available there for one thing. And there is very full space available for another. And so I think we'll have to look at both of those options. The other options that were presented to us, frankly, they were all too far expensive. They were too expensive.
Okay. May I ask you then, is 2 weeks delay for this decision problematic for your moving needs?
Well, 3 weeks, yeah.
It's really just our next meeting, because of the 5th week, yeah.
I think that if, I could do that too. Both of the options that I've given you, those two options, I think that those are pretty easily, we could pretty easily move into either one of those. You know, and I think we could go ahead and start on a moving plan with like those in mind as our like primary, yeah. So that's what we could do in between time.
One question I have to ask. In terms of a reuse request, can I add books into a facility without it having a reuse classified with it as a temporary thing?
Be a warehouse to storage.
What you want to regional zone or admissions committee is a permitted use.
The library.
Storage isn't allowed.
Well, on the list of options, they're all bad, really. The Carnegie, the Carnegie, you know, comes to the top in terms of the interim use for me, but I still have some concerns about that, and one of them is obviously parking and the process that we may or may not have to go through in order to have a temporary library there. The other concern is that my feeling from at least one person on the task force, if not a few others, they have been kind of under the impression that this was never was a plan for an interim use or any use for a library, and so I'm kind of concerned about the task force not being in the loop with that, and what that says. The other thing that bothers me a little bit is regardless of how realistic it is to have the Carnegie Center as a permanent library, there's many people in Oregon City that still say that is what should happen. And my worry is if we say that this Carnegie Center is going to be used as a temporary library for 9 months or a year, how do we convince them to get it back out again? And so that's kind of a damage and a sales job that we're going to have to do. But the fact is, we don't really have any other choice. We have the resources for a lot of these other options, and so, you know, I was just sitting in here, well, actually I've been sitting, you know, and thinking about this for the last few weeks, would have made sense to talk about an interim location before we started talking about a permanent one. But we didn't really start talking about an interim location until tonight. That bothers me. So I don't think we really have a whole lot of choices, and so I you know, with the negatives, I think that, you know, I kind of feel that we kind of have to look at the Carnegie Center as a temporary place.
I think, as you were talking in the executive session, which you could talk about here too, that if we went with a non-Carnegie option, the cost would come out of the remodeling cost for Eastham if that turns out to be the final thing. And
Yeah. If we went to an interim building, it's just money that we're taking away from the remodeling cost. And while the budget that I have from the district is robust compared to what the library district compared to what we used to have, you know, I mean, I still want to make sure that I spend it very, very well. And you know, I would rather, if we make the decision to go to Eastham, then that's what I'd like it to go towards, is the remodeling instead of another location. So at the same time, I worry greatly about the impact we have on our patrons, you know. So
the decision to go to Carnegie and Eastham are linked, in that we need to be prudent with our financial resources to be able to get maximum impact with the money we would spend to remodel. So, and I think that the selfish business we're talking about will really can work well. It can be the center of our marketing, and you know, because people will not like the fact that it's such limited services in one facility. So I'm willing for a motion this evening. I see there's some more, but I'm just saying that I could be ready to go that way this evening. Commissioner Smith.
Yes, he's on, let's see, what, Central is that? He's on the Central side of Roosevelt, he's on the reverse. On this question, how long does it take to go through the reuse request? Let's not put the period on the motion.
It's going to decide on what the outstanding issues are. If it's a site that has adequate parking existing to be able to accommodate how much parking is going to be needed for a library based on the square footage, it could probably be a very simple process. If there is no parking available, and we need to find additional parking somewhere else, or we need to come up with alternatives or variance to a code requirement to accommodate it, obviously that would be a longer process.
The whole facility doesn't change those needs that we have in our code.
Because temporary could be 20 years.
Interpretive center.
That facility apply for a reuse at the same time the city does as the library, that we actually have the rest is going on simultaneously?
I don't see why not. It's the best owner, so.
One of the things that a real problem in terms of changing the use, you have the secondary source to go back to. So what I'm suggesting is that we request the facility. Because it's specific to our interests.
Right, but the property owner would need to sign the lease.
I'm going to put a letter showing where we go ahead and go through and the latest requirements for the company, and all requests the facility both also go through that requested simultaneously. Actually, since we're in a position to waive certain things if we need to. Is that not true?
Should we have all of these rezoning problems?
If the rezoning of the college occurs because of a parking issue, we have a fallback position. And we to stop moving and stop all of it at the latest. So we're going to look at stop moving. You have to have something to hold it to. You have to go through the process because of a parking issue, we have a fallback. And I'm going to suggest that some things I mentioned so weeks, I look at that true. We don't get a reuse.
And another, yeah, this is other things that happen in the interim though, so I'd like to hold on.
It's about 6 or 7 weeks.
And I still believe that there's some movement that can happen with all of those because we have, the movement hasn't happened because we've not made a permanent decision.
Yes.
So I'd like to,
You have actually people that.
if we'd like to take a break before we call on those speakers. We've been going a long time, so. 5 minutes late. We have a very long agenda and need to move it along. I don't see Rolla. Okay, please come to the microphone. Thank you. Go ahead. Yes, please begin.
Good morning, Mayor and City Councilors. My name is William Gifford, and I reside in Oregon City. I wanted to, besides, happy St. Patrick's Day to all of us. I wanted to echo Commissioner Smith's comments about the fact that, well, this is what I heard. I don't really say, but what I heard was, it's kind of rather a shame that we are now discussing the interim site instead of doing that first. It seems to me as though that decision should have been made first. I want to put a little spin on what Commissioner Amey was talking about doing two things at the same time. And my take on that is, I haven't heard anybody talking about doing both. But as I say, if we're moving from what's the current library, 13,000 down to 6,000 to Carnegie, that's obviously not going to be enough room for all the books. And I'm wondering, is anybody thinking about doing both option A and option B at the same time? And since if the Carnegie Center isn't going to cost us a whole lot of money, it's possible that they could be done at the same time, and the parking issue would be known. As far as I'm concerned, the parking lot for option B is only 1 block away from the Carnegie Center. And I don't know if anybody's considering the possibility of using that parking lot for a Carnegie Center. I don't know what the proximity is for a parking lot, how close you have to be. Do you have to drive into the library? You know, but I just want to know that there's some consideration about doing both of them.
I'm confused. Also in relation to the task force concerning some temporary use of the Carnegie as a library. We were told in a meeting, at our third meeting, that was not a consideration for a library because of the size and the other problems that some of you have mentioned tonight. Even though the public seems to think that it should be a library, it was pointed out to us that it's not at all adequate for either a works library or for a regular central library. I just am disappointed that information wasn't given to the task force, that the Carnegie would be used for up to a year or perhaps longer as a temporary library. We worked hard to come up with ideas as per our instructions to make a presentation to you about how the facility should be used. So I'm disappointed and confused about the money spent on the person to conduct those sessions and the 3 sessions that we spent our time working on that. So it was just a comment that I want to make as a member of that task force.
Okay, back to discussion then, please, on top of facility. So, we do not have a motion on the floor. We're going to run Supervisor McQuinn. Commissioner Neely.
Move that the city pursue a reuse request of the planning commission for Carnegie to function as a temporary library. I will request the property owner of alternative B to also pursue such a request with the understanding that the city will pay for that request. That probably needs both questions, whether the common is used or whether the record is.
Is there a second to that motion? Just one, the second before we can discuss.
I'll second it for discussion.
Moved by Commissioner Neely, second by Commissioner Smith. Now, Commissioner Smith.
Make very clear, or want to clarify if Commissioner Neely is referring to option B or D.
I guess it's option Option D, yes.
You go in there? Don't see you on there. No, but go ahead, Commissioner West.
Thank you, Commissioner Masuda, for the clarification, because that's exactly, I was trying to figure out how we got off. We got one step in alphabet soup.
Yeah, me too. Okay, there's no further comment. Is there further comment?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Smith.
My comment is really an apology to the Carnegie Task Force because I don't think I have any other choice, and I think this was a huge mistake well, I thought the task force formation was premature to some degree anyway, because we've known about the library situation for such a long time. So I apologize, but I don't think I have any other choice to support this.
I don't think the task force is it's absolutely still develop, and I think it'll still go forward. Is it a quick comment? Okay, go ahead. Introduce yourself, please.
The practicality of the practicality of what you're suggesting is going to require, I think, the landowner, the owner of the building, to agree to lease it at a number that you can agree on, to tie it up, and then to go through the process. So most of us actually do this and do it in a meaningful way. Because if you pay for the something without actually signing a lease first, you get to the point where it gets approved because there's parking, and you don't have a lease at that point. That was they can really hold you over a barrel. It seems to me that the way commonly to go forward with a suggestion like yours, it's not a bad suggestion, is you have to nail it down first. That's my comment.
I think it's about to have 2 games. Ready for the vote?
Well,
Commissioner West.
What you would say in this position.
Good one.
Yeah, I think two things. One, the uncertainty of getting to Carnegie against the added cost and hassle of running two applications simultaneously. To the extent you do want to run the two simultaneously, I think the suggestion that just made is probably not a bad one to have some type of agreement put in place dependent upon the site plan approval, and probably means some in cost for the period of time while that process is moving forward. You can always think the rest of it is going to find another tenant, or that once you get the approval, he's going to drag the price up. But the more prudent cost probably is to try to cut that in some way, so if we do get site plan approval for it, that we have the ability to lease it.
Okay.
it's not going to have one done. I suggest some wording on your part if you would.
A motion to direct city staff to pursue site plan review for the Carnegie Center and to negotiate with the owner of option D for to allow the city to pursue site plan design review on option D as well, with assurances that should that be required, the city will be able to enter into it. We'll be in a position to lease the space upon approval.
At a known cost.
At a known cost.
At a known cost. Okay, let's talk about that cost. Commissioner Lewis, Commissioner West. Is everyone clear about the motion?
There was an amendment to a motion.
Actually, as an amendment. Nancy, vote please.
Commissioner West, Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Nocita, Commissioner Neely, and Mayor Norris.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Okay, we need to move right along. We still have a busy agenda. Because we're consultant here for the Water on the Grove project, so we'll pull up the agenda? Okay. Okay, so, item B will be, next.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Also have a consultant here for Southwest.
Everything else, so, the issue, so she had the phone consultant. Let's see. We're going to do the South Fork one next. Is that okay? Everybody, okay. So now we got Mr. Collins. He's coming down. Okay, next on the agenda, consider South Fork one because I gave you the report next we interviewed that we already got, and John Collins will be coming to give us a full report on the issues with our bonds. So welcome. We have meaty topics. We hope you would introduce yourselves, please.
My name is HCR Engineering, and I've been working for South Fork Water Board, as you well know, for about 1990, I think, 1991. I've been around a while, so I heard your comments out there. I'm working for free tonight, okay?
We'll probably talk to you about that.
And I'm John Collins, General Manager of the South Fork Water Board.
A formal presentation on a PowerPoint, if we could, please. Madam Mayor, members of the commission.
Take just a second here.
We're in a movie on our screen here. There it comes.
Go into it.
Let the expert handle this, okay? Just a slideshow. Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm going to be short and sweet because I know you've had a long meeting, so a lot of agenda items to go. So, what I'll talk about tonight is some issues that we have, what caused those issues, what the options are, the benefits, and the next steps. The basic issue is South Fork Water Board did not meet debt service coverage for fiscal year 2008-2009. And that is an issue that under the bond covenants that we issued originally in 1993, and then subsequently those have been refunded to lower the interest costs. You're required to meet a 1.25 times debt service coverage, which means your revenue less expenses has to be 1.25 times. So we did increase your rate by 5% starting in July 1 of 2009 to meet that coverage requirement. Based on the current projections, you will not meet debt service coverage again for 09 and 010 and beyond based on current projections, okay? I want to comment here. What happens is you're in default on your bonds, you're what I would call technical default on your bonds. So you're paying your debt service, okay? So you're not defaulting on loans, but then the bond covenants require you to do certain things to be able to meet that, okay? Let's clarify that. Just a quick question.
When he says you are, he's referring to.
I apologize. I was getting to, okay? You'll probably be looking at a 25% increase or more starting in July 2010. Okay, if you actually need coverage this year, you're looking at about 50% increase. Okay, but the way the covenants work, you would be in technical default again. You'd have to resolve that. And so, what we're trying to do is find solutions that minimize the rate impacts of the cities and provide benefit to the cities. And the other thing that we've always looked at when we set rates for South Fork Water Board, because both Oregon City and West Linn have restrictions. You can't raise rates over 3% without going through a vote. West Linn has the same issue. They can't raise rates over 5% a year without going through a vote. So we're always trying to manage those two processes together. What causes? One, increases in expenses. You've got legal fees. You've got two ongoing litigations going on with Clackamas River Water and with the Oregon water resources. You look at increase in costs. I think somebody told me Pacific Corp just filed for a 20% rate increase the other day. In your PG&E, but still, you have an increase in some of your costs. You've got started with low operators, and as they create new certification and knowledge, then they go up the scale. And then you just they do some really debt service coverage that are not controllable. And the main factor is a reduction in revenue, which I'll get to in the next slide. And I just want to say that this is a common issue facing utilities all over the regular utilities in Washington, California, Montana, and back east, and they're all facing the same problem, okay? So this is nothing new. It's nothing that just happened, that was a cause that you caused. It's all over the country right now, just given the economic situation. And, one of the things is FTCs are down $100,000, okay? We've also seen a reduction in growth, and that's a revenue source to meet debt service coverage. Interest income alone is down over $200,000, and that's because right now I think the state pool is 0.55% right now is what you're getting on your money. I know what we're in our savings accounts is big dollars, okay? And the reduction in revenue from Clackamas River Water, as you may be aware, they're starting to run their well system, so they're buying less water from South Fork Water Board. Again, these are the FTC thing and interest income common problem around the United States, okay? And you can see the historical coverage. Can you actually read this? I can't read this. I'm getting old. The state had budgeted coverage up to 2000. In 2009, you were down to 1.13 coverage, which you require a 1.25 coverage there. But if you see in the history, 2003, 3 times coverage, which is excellent. So you have 3 options. increase rates to market territory, which will result in rate increases of 25% or more. The other option that we're here presenting to you is to have the city enter into a loan agreement to pay off the revenue bonds, okay, with the cities. The cities would loan South Fork money, which would result in an increase of about 10% to 12%. We originally looked at that as a loan amount of about $2.4 million for 6 years at 2.5% interest. It's probably, we could probably get it down to $2 million, I think, in talking to Mr. Wimmer, the finance director for Oregon City, and also for South Fork Water Board. And it probably used to be 5 years, I believe, because they can loan money for 5 years up to capital improvements. But we should stay still in the 10 to 12% range. And otherwise, what it does is raise rates by 10 or 12, maybe a little bit more, and just continually stay in technical default under your bond covenants, okay? That's an option. You just don't do anything, basically. The benefits to the city for the loan option. Number one, it removes restrictions on the terms of the bond resolution. So what you would do is you take that loan and you would basically give these one set of bonds that are callable, and the other set is not callable, but you set them up with, which is called an irrevocable escrow account, so that they're basically off your books. You basically purchase securities that assure that the bonds are paid and they're off your books, okay? And that eliminates the coverage requirements. You don't have to comply with bond covenants. The other benefit, it minimizes the rates to both the cities. And the other side is it benefits both Oregon City and Westland's credit, because under OF 190, you're both jointly and severally liable for the debt obligations of South Fork Water Board. And this could have potentially an impact on your own city's credit ratings. So if you want to go build a new police center or go out and borrow money, they're also going to look at your other obligations under your OS 190. The thing to talk about is it creates a win-win, because it provides the interest rate on the city's investment that is greater than the current rate through the state investment pool. In other words, South Fork's agreeing to pay you 2.5%, which actually really the interest rate was about 4.7%, I think, effectively right now. And you're, instead of getting 0.55% on your money, you're getting 2.5% on your money, okay? And, it's a pretty high risk. It has a very low debt to equity ratio. So there's real risk to the city for the loan, okay? And it's kind of, you're kind of just getting together anyway, okay? Because you're a half owner of South Fork anyway. So the next step would be, and Mr. Collins may want to comment, we meeting with the South Fork Water Board here a week or so ago. That's correct. And I left after executive session, so I may let him find see what happened. It wasn't happening now, it took 2 hours.
Financial discussion, executive session over this. Essentially what we did, the board approved the resolution. I believe you have a copy of the resolution in your agenda package. And it approves the South Fork manager to try to negotiate with the city of Oregon City and the city of Westland. We're out tonight that we're here presenting this as a concept, and for some of you that aren't South Fork Water Board members, it's a new concept. And we would ask that somebody does work with us on this and consider getting some kind of an answer back to us in the next 30 to 45 days so we can move forward with whatever option we need to do.
So the South Fork Water Board has approved Mr. Collins to move forward with negotiating with the cities. Ultimately, you have to approve this, I think, via resolution, because it would be an agreement between two governmental entities, and then we'd start drafting appropriate loan documents, okay? And my understanding is the city of Oregon City does have funds available to loan to South Fork. I'm not certain how much Westland would be able to loan, but you would want to make sure they're also liable for the debt just as well as you are, okay? Since it's a joint entity, okay? And that's it. Well, I entertain questions from the commission.
This is an opportunity for us to ask questions, and we'll bring this up for final approval at a subsequent meeting. So, Commissioner Nocita?
Question real quickly. You said that you don't know that Westland has the ability to make such a loan?
I don't have the understanding. We've worked with those funds, and I haven't seen the actual paperwork that was sent to the Westland councilors, but I have the impression from what I heard from one of our board members that you're not in a position to loan us any money.
We had communication from Westland today, and that's basically what we've heard from them, is that they do not have the reserves that they feel they can participate.
All of this loan would come from Oregon City. This, and Westland would not be contributing anything.
As it sounds today, that's what our understanding is.
But please understand too that Westland would be liable for that loan to you, okay? Under the loan documents, since they're a 50% owner of South Fork. So it'd be like, they have to co-sign the loan, basically, in an analogy, okay?
So they have equal liability, but not equal cash outlay.
That's right.
Are you finished?
I want to hear some of the other commissioners speak, but I will have something else.
Commissioner Miller?
That's my question. I was earlier, simply because there was another matter of South Fork Water Board, and I would like to find out how the balance went. On the can, and I left the room and I got invited back in the executive session because I was on the commission. I was having a discussion as to whether I should go there after the board invited me to come out of the executive session, so I decided again. I had no idea what the executive session was. I did not know that. Now, I understand my concern. My concern is this is going out the revenue bonds. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Essentially. Again, is that a basic
you have the cash available to pay the debt service, okay? It becomes an issue of what's that?
Not putting down on the actual.
Debt service. It's the issue of you have certain covenants under the bond resolution that require you to meet certain tests. That's what you're not meeting. If I go back to the slide, if you look in certainly 2009, the number on the far right-hand side should be 1.25. Okay, which means you've got 25% more funds available at the revenues less expenses in order to pay your debt service. Analogy, I like to use the analogy of saying it's like when you go into the bank and they say, well, your mortgage and your principal and your interest can do no more than 28 or whatever. I don't know what banks do anymore. I don't deal with banks. 20% of your income. Your gross monthly income. It's the same kind of test. The people in the market are looking for some assurance that there's always a cushion there.
So my concern is that you talk about reduction in revenue coming into South Fork, and are you going to be in a position in the future to actually meet the obligations that we set forward if, in fact, you have a situation where the revenues are after a certain point, you're problems?
No one could see this recession either, right? So, I mean, currently right now, we're looking at 10 to 12%, which gives you enough money to pay your debt service costs. And understand that the current bond resolutions, the tax that you have to meet is revenues in for that current year. You cannot use available cash balances to pay off your debt. That doesn't count in the coverage requirement. So if you get the bond resolution issues, then if you have cash sitting around, you can still make those payments to Oregon City if Oregon City is the one that's loaning the money. It just gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of how you deal with paying off the loans.
Sure, West.
Well, I can see that this is not an equal proposition with the city of Westland, and that, it doesn't seem fair for Oregon City, but Randy Goff can explain a little bit more as a co-owner of South Fork Water Board, what this would mean to our credit rating, and potentially mean because of even though it isn't us, it's South Fork, it can still affect the city's credit rating that we've worked very hard to build up. So
I can't say for certain, okay, because dealing with the rating agency is always a throw of fun, okay? Especially Standard & Poor's, but we won't go there. But yeah, I think potentially they'll look at that as, you still have an obligation on, it's support defaults on the debt, right? You're still the liable party. And understand that because of the fact that under the OS 190, it's not just the water fund that's liable, it's a contract between the city and Southport Water Board, and hence your general fund is actually liable for payment of that debt. So it could potentially have a negative outlook on your own internal to say you want to do what you got to take care of. But if you want to do a new police station or, I think that was out there, library or something like that, under a bond levy, it could potentially have an impact on your credit rating.
The other alternative is a rather steep rate increase.
Very steep rate increase.
So this is essentially the least cost, least risky alternative.
Madam Mayor, clarify, we're about 10 to 12%. That translates into about a 2 to 2.5% increase in your retail rates, okay? So I don't want people to get thinking that the retail rates are going to go up by 10 or 12%, because water purchases is only a portion of your overall budget within your water enterprise fund for retail rates, okay? So I don't want people to panic thinking their rates are going to go up 10 or 12%. You can manage that internally, this rush hour will probably shoot me after we get done with this. You can manage that within your own water funds and still meet your restrictions under the 3% and the 5% that West Lynn faces, okay? And that's what we're trying to accomplish, trying to create a win-win for both parties here.
5-year loan. Mayor, City Manager, Mr. Henderson.
Next point I wanted to drive home, the bond impact is one impact. The more immediate is this does increase the cost of your purchase of water, which means within your 3%, there's less that you're going to be able to do on those other things that we had scheduled. So those are going to back up as well. And then a perfect storm. I mean, either way, you're going to see a rate increase if you don't make the loan. You're going to see a higher rate increase, which means you'll need to even less than what it is if you have the lower rate increase. So.
Mr. Neely.
Questions to Ms. Fresher, and also welcome back. Increase more than 3% a year. Does that also include in our payments to Southport for their services? Is that within the 3%, or is that a separate thing? It's the same thing, which is of course exactly what you were saying, and so I'm just going to go back to the self-deception. The central reserve was presented there in terms of this budget document, and you can see millions here, and well, maybe 2 million here and 1 million there, and so you can see that is more valuable for bonding. I don't recall that anything was presented from last time, was there?
I don't believe there was.
I'm concerned with the Southport members from Oregon City were kind of we
I think Bob did not.
budget documents, so we can see them and see ours. But
I would also suggest that it might be a good discussion for the South Fork Water Board and the two groups. I mean,
either way, and I think Mr. Goff pointed this out well, we are South Park. This has to be taken care of, and I think doing nothing is really no option.
I'm sure that, if they're going to be in terms of making lines, we can see why they're not doing it, not just based on their say-so.
I really just let out my frustration and concern about all of this. I don't even know where to begin. I guess one place I can begin was just to recount how all of last year, I kept periodically asking those members of this commission who are South Fork board members to give us an update on what's going on with South Fork. I kept asking, what's up with South Fork? What's up with South Fork? Can we get a report on South Fork? I'm not even until perhaps a penultimate or a final commission meeting where we're going to do a chilly public relations report on some water quality testing. I can't for the life of me believe for a minute that these issues and these problems weren't brewing at that time, Madam Mayor, and that we, the commission and the people of Oregon City, deserved disclosure about what was brewing, what concerns were happening, because we were in full recession last year. And at the very last minute, this blows up. Here we are facing credit issues when we're trying to find the ability to go after a bond for a police station and all these other expenses that we have. And it just sits wrong with me. I'm just really disturbed. I think that we really need some kind of heartfelt disclosure about what's going on here. I don't know if, for example, we've had this final and a cursory mention of CRW litigation. What's that about? That really is we are South Water Fork, we are South Fork Water Board, as the city manager mentions. But really, I don't know about the CRW litigation, frankly, because I happen to know socially most of the CRW board. When I go out for lunch with friends, I hear about it. I talk to the general manager of South Fork Water Board when they had the interviews, the open house for the county commission administrator candidates. He happened to be there. I struck up a conversation with him, and he talked about how frankly uncooperative South Fork was being in cooperating on various CRW South Fork issues. So it's very odd to me that as a city commissioner of Oregon City, I don't hear jack squat about, and the public doesn't hear jack squat about what's going on with South Fork. I'm sure I could sit down, with the meetings with the general manager. I'm sure I could, spend time, sitting down with meetings with South Fork, even though I'm not an appointed member of South Fork. But that's not the way I think, business should be done. I think we should have fair and just disclosure. What the hell's going on? And we frankly haven't known what's going on. And then this whole thing is just like ballooning. I really have a problem with it. At the very beginning, the management of South Fork has to be starting to communicate with the citizens, both the citizens of Oregon City and the citizens of West Linn. I think a place to start would be a presentation of the Citizens Involvement Council, and whatever analogous group is in West Linn. I'm frankly concerned about how this has come about. How we haven't been informed of the issues of with what's going on with the South Fork Water Board, and it's a rotten situation. You guys have a tough sell with me. As often happens on this board, there will be a 3-2 or 4-1 vote to shovel money away. I'm not very sanguine about my inability to participate in you know, I don't think it's a win-win. I think it's more like a lose-lose. You know, either we, you know, run all this money back into our reserve for things that we could, you know, utilize money for things we would like to preserve, to do otherwise. Or we face the consequences that you're outlining tonight. You know, having this kind of out like this, I really think I don't know what to say.
We have, I serve on the Park Water Board, as does Commissioner West and Commissioner Smith. We have not known about this for long, and you will, and at our last city council meeting, I gave you a report about this and mentioned that we would be discussing this together. And what we mentioned is executive session stuff. We cannot disclose that. That's just not true. Because any litigation with any lawsuit, the beginning of a lawsuit is the filing of a complaint, where each claim is enumerated in the complaint. I mean, the basic issues of what a lawsuit is over is not executive session material. That's something that can be disclosed to the public. Those basic issues can be disclosed. We will do that.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Collins.
Park Water Board Chair. I'd like to make, for public record, I'd like to know that it wasn't until about 6 weeks ago when David Wimmer brought me the final version of our audit that we realized, we were below our debt service coverage. And if you look at the historical trend that we've had, we just haven't had a comfort level there. And I apologize to you for missing it by $70,000. That's the difference between 1.13 and 1.25. A large percentage of our money that we pay for legal fees have gone to protecting our water rights. We've been in a very litigious battle with Water Watch of Oregon, and we've recently gone to an hearing, administrative hearing in Salem, and that is very expensive. And those costs are on an average of about $150,000 more a year than we normally pay for legal expenses. But again, your water rights are the senior rights on the Clackamas River, and legally worth millions of dollars, and certainly worth defending. So, we don't feel those charges or those expenses will be forthcoming year after year after year. We do presume that we have some additional legal fees moving forward to the Court of Appeals. We expect our case will be upheld and lower court to move to the Court of Appeals. But I think that we're looking at some expenses that we didn't pursue. As far as CRW goes, we gave them a rate increase 18 months ago. They elected not to pay that rate increase. We simply cannot supply water to 12,000 people without an ability to shut it off and have a utility say to you, we're not going to pay that rate. We don't feel that it's a justified rate. Our rate is based off an approved methodology that we've done for years, and an accepted methodology with our industry, the American Water Works Society. And we're hoping that today, tomorrow, or Monday, in mediation, that we come to some kind of resolve and stop the expenses of our legal fees. But when we look at why we're out of our technical coverage base, it's STCs, and legal fees are the majority of it, and we're looking to mitigate those expenses and get back on track. I challenge everybody to read it, go through our books, you can come through, go through our line item and our expenditures. We've accurately predicted our revenues for sales of water, and we've maintained living within our budget and our needs for materials and services. I'm very proud of what we've done at South Fork, and I stand by that. And I can tell you for the record that these commissioners had no idea of our bond coverage or these issues up until about, I'm not even sure if it's been 4 weeks, because I knew it 2 weeks preparing for it and getting ready for communications with the board. So that's the record.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith.
And I agree with it, and that's absolutely true. But I did voice my concern about the process at the last meeting, and basically was concerned that we weren't keeping the entire commission kind of in the loop on it, and so that was a huge concern for me. The other question that there's the money headed is, where does the money come from? And we've discussed that, but I think when it actually comes down to determining which funds or that comes from, that could be a lengthy discussion, because I think that there are certain places that we should not be taking money out of. I think, and our software manager has made the commitment to kind of notify now the entire commission from both cities with our agendas, so that it is clear what's on the agenda, so that if an individual commissioner wants to come and sit in on that meeting, that I think is definitely a good thing that needs to happen. But again, it looks like we're in a situation where we don't have a lot of choice. But I'm glad we're not making a decision on it tonight, because I think there's some questions that the non-self-work board members have on this commission, and quite frankly, I was concerned that if we didn't deal with those questions first, that we would have a situation like we had tonight, where people are really concerned about it, and I kind of made that warning at the last meeting. And so I hope it was heard, so now we can actually deal with the problems that we're going to have to ask these questions. The other thing, I guess, that concerned me about tonight's meeting and making it as straight, and the I really didn't feel like we should be making a decision tonight is, we don't really have a city manager. And not that this is a city manager's decision, but
I think we this is a big decision. This is a massive impact on our general fund. And even though this commission is the decision maker, this is something that should be on the city manager, should be in the loop on. And so, hopefully, we can make an announcement sometime about that in terms of our city manager, so that that individual can be in the loop on this topic as well. So, Commissioner West.
Well, I'm just going to address Commissioner Neely's concern about seeing budget sheets from us. I'm not interested in seeing any sheets, because without any explanation or a joint meeting, what good is looking at somebody running fund balances? So I'm game for a work session, but no, just not paperwork. And as far as Commissioner City was saying, is it's a lose-lose situation. Well, you have to pay and yes, growth is slowed down, but remember you budget every year ahead, you project revenues, and things all of a sudden get poof. So these were some of that one. As far as also there's a woman, if we borrow self-work for what, the money we are going to be generating more interest income than we are we're generating. So this is how you have to come up. So the good thing is we're generating more income out of it, and the other thing is they're generating more too, because I can't explain that one that well. Lower, and so that's the cash. And then that problem, at least the ratio problem is done for, and it's not saying that revenues aren't going to be decreasing or nothing with all the, the future brings, but at least this won't be a factor.
And as Mr. Duncan said, this is a problem that's existing in utilities because of the same circumstances around
it. And if I can make a comment, Madam Mayor, just so you understand, we're scheduled Monday night. I've looked next week.
Go to Westland.
We're going to go to the city of Westland because there has to be joint concurrence. Again, I want them jointly and severally liable for this loan also, okay? So it's got to be a joint decision between the two cities, so it's got to be done together.
And
I'm asking for a motion tonight, just as a motion forward to say, yes, go ahead and explore this avenue, and then bring that back to us. Basically, it would be, I presume it would be a resolution, accepting the bond documents, the loan documents.
Scared me for a second.
I work East Coast time, you're
Document it and make sure, you know, the T's are dotted, I's are crossed. You're gonna see something, the documentation before a final decision is made.
thank you. And I want to commend Mr. Collins, who has been a very upfront and diligent production manager. And this is a problem that has occurred recently because of the coincidence of the circumstances. And I appreciate the fact you've gotten your heads together and come up with a solution that seems to work. And I think we're there for really drilling down on that. So, further questions that you either would like to continue with later or tonight. And then we have time for a work session on it. Mr. Patterson.
Just to reiterate that, I mean, I think anyone can be upset by the situation, but, you know, just make speeches about it now, take us where we need to go. You have a problem. We have identified a solution to that, and maybe we can debate that solution if we choose to, but you don't really have a lot of options. Something has to be done. I think the real debate is, okay, you got a problem, we can fix it, and here's how we fix it, and I think the fix makes all the sense in the world. The big issue is, okay, ongoing, how are we sure we don't fall into this again? And I think even the bigger question is the relationship with Westland. If we're truly partners in this, you have to be part of this solution. I think that's where your debate needs to probably be focused at this point. This has to be fixed.
Further questions? Oh, okay. Do you need, okay, concerns? Okay, Commissioner Hess.
Well, I'm wondering what the soonest way we can address this, and do we really need to have it at what's going to be sooner, a work session or our next city commission? Because perhaps staff from Westland could come to a city commission meeting and we could work it out at that, if that is the closer of the two alternatives.
What's the timeline on this?
Preferably 30 to 45 days, preferably 30 if possible.
We have time probably for the April work session if we wish to put it on to that.
And the mayor would state.
It's a Tuesday between the two of them. I think it's going to be April 13th. I'm sure we could put it on, the following agenda, which would be the next Wednesday. So it's would that timeline work?
Will that coincide with Southwest?
What's the Southwest? Okay. We're going to proceed tentatively along that timeline, see if we can make that work, and then we'll have time to work with Westland through the city manager's office, and if they wish to meet together, that would be good too. Or if Southport needs a special meeting, we can do that. Okay. Commissioner Neely.
Somehow.
Behind you now.
And he got the lead, so I'm going Commissioner to see it.
It's a question, and maybe this is for the city attorney. Do we have a provision in our charter about some kind of rate rollback coming up as far as water rates?
There's and maybe the best thing to do is, but yes, there is something in 2014. Yeah.
What kind of effect does that provision have on any of this decision making?
In terms of the loan, the rate rollback is a concern that this commission has dealt with, several months ago, and we're working on trying to get resolved exactly what that rate rollback does to the rates that the city can charge. So, once that's resolved, we're going to work within the rates that the charter limitation, the charter limit puts on us. I'm not certain the loan makes much of a difference in terms of that rate rollback. We're going to have issues we're going to have to deal with regardless of whether the loan gets made. I think, if I understand the numbers wrong, right, and Mr. Wimmer can correct me, that a loan would reduce the rates that would otherwise have to be charged. So not doing a loan could lead to even greater consequences when the rate rollback occurs. Does that make sense?
I would like to request that the South Fork Water Board staff make a presentation and discuss these issues with our citizen enrollment. They meet the first Monday of every month.
I missed what you said. Sorry, excuse me, I apologize.
The first Monday of every month. And, okay, thank you. I'd like to propose, along the lines of this, question of, updating us, that maybe it might be an idea, Mr. Collins, to have you before us quarterly, just to give us an update on what's going on at South. That might be a good way to keep us apprised of what's going on, as a whole.
I would not be opposed to that. I would have to get that direction from my board, though.
Mr. Patterson? And this is a question for Mr. Wimmer, or any of you. If the current rates aren't meeting the bonds that we have now, wouldn't we also have a problem in meeting any payments if we did make a loan to the South Fork Water Board?
Just to clarify, you're making your loan payments, okay? This is what I don't know if it's the right term or not, I call it technical default, okay? Where you're not meeting certain covenants under the bond resolution, okay? In other words, you're not meeting a 25% coverage ratio on your debt, but you're still being able to pay your debt, okay?
A cash flow problem.
No. It will be a cash flow problem. You still have ways to manage the cash flow, but technical default and actual default on the debt are two different issues.
South Fork maintains a 1-year contingency in payments in the bank. We have that now. We are making our payments. It's simply, we're not at 125% of income over expenditures. So it means we're at 113% of income over expenditures currently. And it's a technical issue based on again, it goes back to our economy. You can look at those charts and see where we were in the height of the boom and the boom of the economy, and it's a direct reflection of where we are now. So, and again, it wasn't by $7,000, and those are some expenses that were unavoidable. You're defending your water rights.
Under the bond resolution, you're not allowed to use your existing cash balances to count for the coverage requirement. Okay? So even if you had $5 million in the bank, you would not you would be in technical default on your bonds. Okay?
And also worth noting is, other utilities are in the same position. Their bond covenants allowed them to use their beginning cash balances to count as revenue. So I could give you for instance of another water entity in Clackamas County that was technically in default until their trustee allowed them to use their beginning cash flow balances. South Fork's bond covenants don't give us those. There's a little bit of wiggle room.
Commissioner Newman?
The order of things is this. Maybe you're going to be in the presentation of the West Main City Commission Council. And also I want to join a work session with them. I would like to have a work session with us around, so the whole question is presented with there's a document that was presented in the executive session of South Fork, so we can see what the sources of the money are for us to make that loan. So this is really starting as a commission here, as a commission here, where the sources of money are coming from. And we need to hear that. He can pass it out, but I think it's kind of critical because Commissioner Smith has indicated there's some things he wouldn't want to touch. I think we need to have some kind of talk at a work session of what the implications are of going to one account versus another. And it's a super commission.
Yeah, no, I know. I think he has an answer though tonight, so we could. Yeah. Well, I think it's simpler than that, isn't it, Dave? Yeah, it's a simpler question. Would you want to relinquish the microphone for a minute? Go ahead and go ahead.
I thought I heard Commissioner Neely say something about executive session. Okay.
Question for clarification. So, Commissioner Neely, we're proposing a work session with the city. You're having a joint work session with the city of Westlake. And then coming back, so that joint work session would need to be a special meeting between the two cities, and it would need to fall between the 13th and the 20th. Is that correct?
I know I'm concerned. I think Westland has to really defend itself being a no player. I mean, the Badgers want to play with the Badgers, but I can't do that to my constituency without saying, well, one thing forward and saying why they can't do it.
And I understand and can appreciate that. May I offer that if you can invite them to the work session on 413 on this issue so they can address it? So I can, thank you.
And also, when you meet with them next week, you can give them the benefit of our discussion regarding this topic. Okay.
I'll just make this short, but my idea was the idea I had out of Southport is, we 38 different funds, and we usually have somewhere between $22 and $30 million that's invested all the time. And then various funds go up and down during the year. And I think are possible candidates. And actually, I did a scenario on the second page there using like $1.5 million from general fund and a $900 from the FERS rate with differential funds. With actually debt services, you'll see up there that we're currently around $580,000 a year. This here, I would have it paying about for the first year 450, then 5 and 538. And I mean, the great thing about this, I mean, this money would be sitting invested in our government pool, and we'll be earning 0.55%, and now we have not to earn 2.5% on this money. So it's, and the other side is that South Fork is reducing their interest rates from, like they said, cutting them in half. So, right.
I'm happy to hear the proposal is to pay this accelerated and pay it early. It would be my goal as your manager and somebody that deems himself or feels that they're very fiscally responsible. My goal would be to pay this off in a timely fashion. I mean, FFAs or their less than water rights or however we're able to generate revenue and turn this around. This may be a 36-month problem. It may be a 24-month problem. We're hoping short term at best.
This is a response to a comment by the city manager. It really upsets me that when certain commissioners speak, that it is called out by the city manager as a speech that we don't need to spend time listening to. I have to listen to the city manager, and I will listen to your speeches. I don't think that was very appropriate. I think it's disrespectful. It's happened several times before. I have great hope in knowing that it'll probably not occur again after tonight.
Please.
Just briefly. It's a crisis, sorry that the SDC and stuff went down, but it's really an opportunity to improve the health of all Oregon City and South Fork. there really isn't a downside that I see.
Thank you. Any questions for our table? Okay, we'll see you again then at our work session and, other meetings beyond. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping us explain that. Okay, next item of business is a request from Joseph Aguilar for payment of legal fees associated with the sewer claim. We have a commission report here, and I'm turning to Mr. Kleisman, our attorney, for the background on this, please.
Fortunately, my shoes is so this, sorry, while you can listen with your eyes closed. In 2007, there was a backup of a city sewer that was caused by a section of 4x4 that went into a pipe, and that backup ended up in sewage flowing into the home of some residents of Oregon City, Joseph and Loretta Roche. The city, doing its investigation, thought it was connected with a construction site upstream, and we, long story short, it ended up in litigation with the Roches attempting, the Roches trying to cover the cost of the sewage flowing into their basement. The insurance company and the contractor denying coverage and essentially pointing fingers at each other ended up heading to trial, and the Roches recovered about $138,000. Unfortunately, because of the dispute between the insurance company and the contractor, it cost the Roches about $55,400 in attorney's fees, and they have brought a request forward to the commission that the commission consider the fact that that the city consider paying them, reimbursing them for the cost of their attorney's fees. I believe their attorney is here and they'll be able to answer additional questions. Are your clients here as well, or? Okay, so the attorney is here to answer questions. So.
Okay. I think Commissioner City, you brought this forward. Did you wish to begin? Yes, I believe so. You're welcome to have it put on the agenda. So did you want to speak first?
I don't remember, but I do think it is an appropriate thing to do. These are our citizens that bear absolutely no liability in this matter, and it's the worth our while for it. And this is a matter of justice. I think it's the very minimum we can do to try to make them whole again. I would. I mean, I don't know if there's any more discussion. But I would like to make a motion that the City of Oregon City reimburse the Roche family for their legal fees in the matter of Roche versus City of Oregon City.
$55,400.
Is that the specific amount that you got?
Yes, the amount that actually incurred was approximately $89,000, and the attorney wrote down a significant chunk of that, and what he billed them was $55,400.
Not a $55,400.
Or a second? Is there a second, please? Second. Moved by Commissioner Nocita, seconded by Commissioner Smith. Now discussion?
What the settlement was, the total amount was
total verdict was $138,500, I believe, was the amount of the verdict. $138,500 was the amount the jury awarded to the Roches as damages for the amount of damage that they suffered.
Any further speakers?
I'm going to speak, if I may.
Commissioner Neely.
post about trying to see some TV program. Never been sued and never has sued anybody. They're trying to charge a percentage of the settlement. And that goes over there. That's all we have here. This is more than 1/3.
Right, and I discussed that with the attorney, and he could extend further, but essentially what his thinking was when he entered into the initial fee agreement was that liability was fairly clear, that it wasn't DeRoche's or at fault, and it was going to be some negotiating about the amount. So we entered into an hourly fee-based agreement to, because if you're going to get a relatively small amount, a relatively short amount of work for a larger fee, it would work in the client's advantage. It turned into a bigger fight than they thought, and
we're sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to reimburse some of that cost because I think it is a short injustice, and the companies I think we had were offering a settlement and that was rejected, and I think the question is actually that what happened was probably even more expensive than they anticipated it would be, and that's only what they thought they would have done in the settlement. I think we should pay them out. I would go for 1/3 of the settlement amount. I'd be willing to put that forward, but as it often stands down, I vote no against it.
Mr. West. I guess that kind of asked my questions too, is why didn't they ask for it up front? And that I did also think that, we had offered a settlement somewhere down the line. And so if we pay this, where did the money come from us? Because we have no recourse with an insurance company at this point, correct?
Out of the city's funds and out the insurance company.
And so it's unbudgeted and, that's a tough one, yeah. They took a chance going to court and the court of law settled it. There it is. The court of law settled it. If they thought we should have settled it, they didn't. Maybe they wouldn't have gone to the. It's a tough one, yeah. I agree.
I'm probably also a lesser amount would be more amenable to me too. Is it?
I think we have 46,000 would the person program the motion to wanting to reduce the 46,000.
I want to vote on my motion. If it doesn't pass, then someone else can put forward their own motion.
Okay. Nancy, vote please.
Commissioner West?
No.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Nocita? Commissioner Neely? Mayor Norris?
Motion fails 3-2. So, Commissioner West.
I did.
You just said step off.
I did, but I was going to say they're asking for 55 tonight. Doug's offering 46.
My concern is that the jury awarded 138,000. I mean that we pay one-third the amount to the Roches for attorney fees, which would be 46,000.
Quick clarification that the jury awarded $138,500. So,
this is a nice round number. I'll go ahead with the 46,000.
Commissioner Neely, seconded by Commissioner Smith. Are you up for speaking? Commissioner West?
I might, so it's for discussion, I might say half of the legal fees that they incurred. Maybe that I'm having a problem with why half of the settlement, why wouldn't it be half of the legal fees they requested? Which was half of 55.
Information out there, and that's those are some TV programs.
I'm unsure on the actual cost, and splitting the cost with them.
The situations of those is where
We all are.
struggled with this. There was some discussion among staff. The insurance company stepped in, and I personally wasn't very happy with the attorney that was originally speaking to us. I think they experienced tremendous loss, and I mean, I'm sure the expenses that they the value of the house that they had in the curve every year. This is a big danger, man. If you across the course 6 together, my guess is that what they're paid is a lot more than that. But I'm trying to be fully responsible, but I'm also trying to be somewhat compassionate, and I'm just inclined to share my emotion.
Nancy, the vote, please.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Nocita?
Aye.
Commissioner Neely?
Aye.
Mayor Norris?
Motion passes 4-1. Let's move on now to the next item on the agenda. Is the common agreement between the City of Garden City and Pacific Properties Church. Who's doing that today? Yeah, that
This is an agreement between the City of Garden City, Pacific Properties Church, and Oregon Department of Transportation. It's the result of an amendment to the concept plan for the Cove project. Well, if you recall, initially there was a plan that had an office building on the property known as the Parker piece. And that was changed to include 220 apartment units. And as a result of that change, ODOT increased the payment of funds for transportation improvements from $100,000 to $120,000. So this just recognizes that increase.
Do you have a motion on this, please?
To authorize the mayor to sign the property improvement agreement between the City of Oregon City, Pacific Properties Church, and Oregon Department of Transportation, moving the amount from $100,000 to $120,000.
Second? Second. Commissioner Moore, second by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion or any discussion? Hearing none, Nancy, the vote, please.
Aye. Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Nocita?
Aye.
Commissioner Neely?
Aye.
Mayor Norris?
Motion passes 5-0. Resolution 1006, authorizing our city to apply for a local government grant from the Parks and Recreation for the development of Calumet Neighborhood Park. For the report on that, is that Dan again? Sure. Development.
Mr. Commissioners, the resolution in front of you is required for us to apply for grant funding for Calumet Park. As it says, this is an annual application program. This resolution is simply as a requirement of the State Parks and Recreation application process. If we are successful in this grant, we would receive funding along with our 50% match with our parks SDCs to go forward with building our Calumet Park plan, which has been master planned and approved for about the last 5 or 6 years, and it's just been waiting to get to the top of the project list, which we're there now. So this is necessary to apply for those funds. If we're successful, we'll be back with the grant agreement to tell you about.
So the whole project is $500,000. Okay. Great. Motion on this one, please. Commissioner West.
I'd like to move approval of resolution number 10-06, authorizing the City of Oregon City to apply for local government grant from the Oregon Park and Rec Department for the development of Calumet Neighborhood Park.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner West, second by Commissioner Smith. Do I hear anyone wish to make comments? If not, Nancy, the vote, please.
Aye. Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Nocita? I'm sorry, Commissioner Neely, Mayor Norris.
Motion passes 4-0. And next, we have an employment agreement for our new city manager, David Frazier. And where's Jim? He's probably done, but we're going to have this now.
The agenda first.
We can just item the resolution 10-07, supporting the TGM grant application.
Oh, the TGM grant, okay. Yes, this is a very important thing for the city to Department of Transportation, TGM meaning Transportation and Growth Management. For a short report, who's doing that? Tony?
So, applying for transportation and growth management grant from Northern Valley Transportation Director, our transportation system plan. We would like, requesting a resolution supporting the grant, which would help us with our, when being reviewed by the Department of Transportation. The grant is for approximately $260,000 is what we're requesting, plus additional in-kind staff services and time.
Other requirements of a grant, we have a motion, please. Commissioner West?
See the number right here.
07.
Sorry.
07.
Resolution number 2. Applications and order out to update the transportation system plan.
Commissioner Smith, on the resolution, any comments? Nancy, the vote, please.
Commissioner West. Aye. Commissioner Smith. Aye. Commissioner Nocita. Aye. Commissioner Neely. Mayor Norris.
Motion passes 5-0. Let's employ that new city manager. Jim, I think I would thank you for your work in the recruitment process. It was very professionally done. I think we're all impressed with the quality of the candidates and with your negotiation with this contract that we have before us now with David Frazier. So would you like to make a few comments? Both comments before we move on.
Mayor, Commissioners, I guess before you is the draft, actually final now, employment agreement for Mr. Frazier, David Frazier. Culminates 4 months of the, as you mentioned, recruitment selection process. Negotiations and started out with 53 candidates, came down to 7 and interviewed 5. Thanks to the commission, the citizens, and the staff who were all integral in the process. And I think we did have some very good candidates, and I'm confident that the commission has chosen the best one. And with that, we'll allow you to vote for your approval of the employment agreement, please.
You will have a chance to look at this. So we have your motion, please, for adoption, approval of the employment agreement.
That we approve the employment agreement between the City of Oregon City and David W. Frazier for the position of City Manager of Oregon City.
Moved by Commissioner Nocita, second by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion? Ask you to vote, please.
Commissioner West. Aye. Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Nocita.
Aye.
Commissioner Neely. Mayor Norris.
Motion passes 5-0. This will be the most important vote that we have made this year. It's truly wonderful that we're able to do this together. Commissioner Nocita.
I'd like to make a quick comment. This city manager search process, I had a lot of remarks from citizens about how well it went, and I would also like to commend Mr. Leffler for that process. It was remarkable to me also because it was so broad. I mean, we spent a lot of time trying to configure the schedule to allow as many stakeholder groups as possible to participate in this. And I witnessed while we were in the process, some of the members of the stakeholder groups remarked that they had not in the past had such an opportunity to weigh in on this process. And I'll say for my own part that the input I got from these stakeholder groups changed my vote. It was really important to me to get that citizen and stakeholder input, and it was because of the very positive feedback that I got on Mr. Fraser that he rose to the top of my list, and I'll just reemphasize the point I made earlier that this was a unanimous adopting decision.
I just wanted to second those comments, and I am extremely happy about the process, and I know that I made the comment multiple times that I felt this was a decision that needed to be unanimous, and I'm just really happy about the ease that was, and I think we made the right decision.
Ready to look at the border behind the scenes battles?
I'm just going to pass on my gratitude to Mr. Leffler for arranging such a thorough vetting within the community and with department heads and with commission and with all the other stakeholders within the community. So that was really great. And then also, I think it's very cool that all of us came together at a 5-0 and that we really do see the whole process from day one out of 53 applications that as the final got now where we were all on the same page, and it was really exciting to see that, and it shows me that we really are closer on more things than we think we are.
Yeah. Gotta get your words in.
Absolutely. Out of the speech. Okay. Because we had 53, we actually earmarked the top 5, and that was really interesting that we all ranked the top 5, every one of us fairly high to high. And so there was in terms of the evaluation process, all of us came to kind of the same kind of decision on the group to bring forward. We chose to be in the other two. For one thing, if we lost people along the way, and chose we lost two. And we only interviewed working with the Pacific Northwest. We were down to 2. There was there's so much made that we have this divided commission, so much is that we are divided on. But the point is if we have a larger decision, so who's going to be the city manager, and as much person on this commission, we'll come next year. But the point is, the whole body of us actually came to a rather rapid consensus as to the people who selected as the top 2 candidates. And the consensus is quite correct. We have input from the unions, from the management, from both citizens groups and so forth. The person I really chose was on top list, not necessarily all the way on the top. I think on every one of those lists that we received. Our top 2 I was inclined in a slightly different direction, and it was rather particularly from the citizens that actually put my support into that candidate. We have a tremendous number of qualified candidates to choose from, and I feel that it was smooth.
That's right. And the quality of candidates is a credit to the city and what we have to offer. So I'm pretty delighted with that. With that, the vote, please. Do we have a motion?
Pointing out that I forgot
on the board and the draft of our agenda for next year. I'm having a motion please for adoption. Moved by Commissioner Lee, second by Commissioner Smith. Comments? Questions? Answer the vote, please.
West. Aye. Commissioner Smith. Aye. Commissioner Nocita. Commissioner Neely. Mayor Norris.
The motion passes 5-0. For the consent agenda, may I have a motion for adoption?
Move approval.
Moved by Commissioner West, second by Commissioner Nocita. For the consent agenda, Nancy?
Commissioner West. Aye. Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Nocita.
Aye.
Commissioner Neely. Mayor Norris.
The motion passes 5-0. Moving on to communications, the last report of our retiring city manager.
I have several items. It's something, first of all, following up, to talk to you about the Waterville Rail program.
Madam Mayor and Commissioners, I thought this was prepared, so I'll just whiz through it so we can get out of here. My name is Claire, and I come to you this evening as a program assistant at the Pioneer Adult Community Center. The month of March is Meals on Wheels' March for Meals. It is an annual national campaign to heighten awareness of the problem of senior hunger and to work locally to help alleviate it. Our nutrition program at the Pioneer Center provides over 25,000 meals annually to homebound seniors and disabled residents in our area. The numbers continue to rise, so we're working to close the gap between our cost of approximately $3.65 per meal and what we receive in donations, which averages about $1.10. We fundraise throughout the year, but the March for Meals campaign brings direct focus on the great need. The Pioneer Center is partnering with Clackamas Federal Credit Union and the Oregon City office to raise funds for this campaign during the month of March. I would encourage the commission as well as all of the citizens that are viewing this to visit the credit union during the month of March. You can donate $1, at least $1, hopefully more, and your name will be written on a colorful little placemat that they put up on the wall. And if you go in there, they have, on the whole back wall, it's got a lot of them up there. They will display both February days and $1,000, I was told this morning, at the end of the month. And when I was there this morning talking to the manager, they've already raised $500. Which, no, this is the first time we tried this, and so they're very, very set, that goal and everything like that. I would like to take this opportunity to publicly thank the credit union, and especially the bank manager, Debbie Beck, for all their energetic and enthusiastic support and hard work for this campaign. She has gone above and beyond offering little incentives for the employees too, and they're really fighting it out. So it's really been a really good win-win situation. I just wanted to give them some recognition. Thanks.
As we talked at your last meeting about the farmer's market, which you agreed to fund part of that, but there's still this issue of conditional use, and the options aren't real pretty for getting this started, so I'm going to let Mr. Kunkel kind of review those with you. And if you have any thoughts, we're meeting with the farmer's market tomorrow, so if you have any particular preference here, is you might want to break that. If not, we'll have to pick one and move through that.
So things like the downtown is proposed to be open roughly 12 to 7 on a Wednesday and then on a Saturday. This new state time code indicates that it's not really permitted use on the weekends and after 6 p.m. on the weekdays. It's a conditional use if it's prior to 6 p.m. on the weekdays. Because of the we're going to start in early May, we are going to have a very difficult time of processing, getting an application in and processed in order to meet their schedule. I've identified a couple options, and more than all, I'd be happy to come back and discuss any of them as you see. Planning Commission use permit. Realistically, we're probably looking at the middle to end of May in order to get that process if we started moving on it very quickly.
That conditional use process would have to go in front of our planning commission for at least one meeting.
What's the cost?
The cost?
I mean, there's cost for that, isn't there?
Yeah, it's probably, I think it's about $3,600. Right now, we're going through our code amendments. We can include a change to the mixed use downtown to allow markets on weekdays prior to 6 p.m. Realistically, we're probably not going to get through adopting that with 2 ordinances until realistically the second meeting in May, maybe the first one in June. Ordinance wouldn't go into effect for 30 days. Third option, we could break this out as a separate item and adopt it, do the first reading at the April 7th meeting, second reading at the April 21st meeting, go into effect May 21st. We are opening ourselves up under this third option to potential challenges for not proper notification. The second component to do that would be we could break it out as a separate ordinance and adopt it as an emergency. Read it twice in one night and put it into effect immediately. The last option is that the applicant could operate the market during the weekday after 6 p.m. until one of these other alternatives are met. A little bit concerned on the third option of pulling one out and trying to either adopt it separately or as an emergency. It wasn't discussed at the planning commission level. There was no public comment on it, on a request to change this particular permitted and conditional use in the downtown zone.
It was or was not?
It was not. This is coming forward right now. This was not discussed at any of the hearings at the planning commission level.
Yes.
I'm not too excited about changing the code over for that, but I thought on her budget, she had $4,000 for music, and isn't in our OCCIT packets a request from somebody else to do music downtown during farmers market times? I'm wondering if we could just, she could use that budgeted money.
I don't think that's.
She budgeted for music if somebody else is asking to do music.
I guess
You're sort of essentially liking the conditional use permit purchase.
Yeah.
Okay, others?
This is, I know we haven't approved the grants, that's what, March 30th, that's not too long either. Almost what we can have.
Like that too.
I don't have my papers in front of me, but I'm sure it was 3,900 or 4,000 she budgeted for. Well, I wondering if she was going to do that much music for $4,000 versus what some of the other requests are.
Well, if it was something that we wanted to change, we do have some time for a couple of public hearings along the way. So, that's practice so we can gauge what, if there are issues in opposition or, if it's really embraced with that one. Commissioner Smith.
Is the issue the timeline or who's paying for it? I mean,
I just kind of make the question aware that we are probably not going to make the first week of May, realistically.
When we're making this decision, are we discussing where the money is going to pay for the conditional use?
So I was concerned about, if times we have to come back and request that, we be compensated.
Right, and since it's not built into the budget, I think we subtract it from the $35,000 we're giving them. But I feel it really has to go through that process, and if that process isn't done in time, then we have to modify. I really hate to make exceptions, and that's why I wish this detailed information would have been brought to us before. I don't think I would have voted on it at all. So I know we've talked about that, but not really the timeline or the detail of it. And this is one of my concerns about us granting this at all. in the first place.
I think I would agree with Commissioner Smith. I'll go with that option. Others?
I guess I would, agree. I would need to go through the normal process. The last thing is that, we're willing to shorten the process in terms, for example, potential upgrades to the front of the city. I don't see how we could, not do the same thing in terms of this request. As far as the program goes, can be shorter. My is that the sheriff's contacted some farmers who now in fact have started planning spring crops, which they may not be able to provide late in the season, but I'm still I don't know what the rules are at, frankly.
They can still operate after 6 p.m.
Yeah.
So it's the crowd at 6 p.m. is the concern.
Well, they go through the conditional use, so, you know, I think
I want to ask a question, if I might just get into that. Would there be any issues of maybe something of lights down there if we wanted to go later than sunset, say? I mean, if you're so fast in that time period, of course, where sun's not setting until 8 or 8:30, but I wonder if there's some mechanisms that we could actually provide some additional light down there.
Responsibility.
To consider there, and I don't know if it's special abilities or something of that nature too, which may make it impractical.
And I think there may have been something in site plan design review a while ago. I remember there's some concern about one of the car dealerships down in McLaughlin that led to some lighting changes in the code, and we'd have to dig into the code.
Get the next email? Okay, thank you.
Next time, I just want to mention to you that we still are looking at some designs in terms of expanding the conference room behind these chambers so that you'd have more room in there. That's kind of crowded. So we'll be bringing that back either to you or the Urban Renewal Commission as we come up with whatever that will take to do that. And then finally, I wanted to mention to the Commission that I certainly have appreciated the work with you. I particularly appreciate one of the hard decisions that you've been faced with over the last 7 years and made that has taken the city forward. I particularly appreciate the citizens for their courage and sacrifice in rallying behind the city and doing those, because without that, I'm afraid the handoff probably wouldn't be as rose-red I think it is today. I also want to thank this staff. They are an excellent group of folks who really do yeoman's work day in and day out. And I think you've made a good choice for your next city manager, and I think Mr. Frazier will do you a good job, as well as I think he'll also appreciate working with this group of folks. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have a sort of, except you just switched up. There are several appointments to make this evening. I can get up to that little place now again. Justin Collins of the Committee until December 2012. Tina Hanson, Casey Fresh, and Warren Kitchen to the Urban Renewal Budget Committee until December 2012. Tina Hanson to the OCCIT, you don't have that there. Her term will expire in December 2013. And Tina Choate to the Clackamas Cable Access Board to serve until 2013. Now, I also have privilege of the mayor is to make proclamations. So I have one that somebody did on at the beginning, so I have to make it now. So we're proclamation that says, as in March 2003, we're holding the Raven City's interim city manager. And as we're saved efficiently, and effectively, and as although he speaks with a foreign tongue, Texan, Resident is an indelible mark in revitalizing our community. Whereas he is living Oregon City's financially stable, aesthetically more pleasing, economically more robust, and with improved services at all levels. And whereas his reasons that he missed, as well as his fellow Larryisms, and Oregon City is a better and more livable community because when I served as our city manager, now therefore I, Alice Lewis, Mayor of the City of Oregon City, do proclaim March 31st, 2010 as Lord Madison Day. I to express my appreciation for the many positive contributions that has given to the City of Oregon City, but you may express your appreciation, but wine, food, and lavish attention is also appreciated. With that, I swear to set my hand the 17th day of March 2010. It's been a pleasure. Not all the time, but most of the time. I wish to speak under Commissioner Communications. Are you down there?
I think I'm going to start because while Alice is figuring it out, I'm not too good at goodbyes, as some of you people have remembered my kind of my emotional spiel a couple years ago, and the commission changed over, but I don't think I'm doing that tonight. But it spoke up at Larry's return party a couple weeks ago because that's where all the emotion and belonged. But I didn't, and this wasn't an accidental choice. I saved it for tonight because what I have to say, I deeply want the community to hear. So, I can remember when I started and I'd call Larry for things and I'd say, God, I really trust you. Because I didn't have beans when I started. And so I took his word. And I see the story about county commissioners working with this kind of taking a job in city council and you only go talk to one person. Like I don't call Scott for a question, I don't call Nancy for a question, I call Larry. So you kind of feel like, God, is Larry the answer to everything? So the way I worked on that was in another form of government, but it still felt a little peculiar, even for me. So I did training. I don't know if there's been a commission in the history of the city that's used as much training money as I have. And I have to say that after all that training, that Larry's been right on with everything. We're not only on board, we're above board, and everything from legislative to legal things, and we're just in tip-top shape, and our department heads are tip-top. We're doing things by the book and even better. So, Larry, you are a first-class act, and we sure appreciate it. I sure appreciated learning my role as a city commissioner from you. And so just thank you for me. But I also want to say thank you on behalf of this community because if you look around now, I know many people are afraid to drive down McLaughlin Boulevard and see the artwork, see the new view, the vistas there, the new promenade redone, going up and down 7th Street and seeing something painted and this, all the new coats of paint in our neighborhood here with the restoration or the renovation of the 7th Street corridor. And having lived here a long time, I could probably accurately say that the bulk of all our restaurants and food and entertainment has been in the last 7 years you have been here, so thank you on behalf of the community for building us a better community than we had. And you are a man of vision as well as a first-class act, Larry, and we'll miss you.
Really?
I'm going to make some comments.
Is the impact report?
The impact report, and I can give the impact report later, but I actually stress my appreciation of the Urban Renewal Agency meeting, so I'm going to just make a few different comments. I think in many ways we've seen greater progress in the city under the city manager than I've seen in other city managers. There's some great projects that have gone on. I mean, before he came here, in the time that I was here, we saw Beaver Creek 213 interchange early on, developments along the 7th Street corridor and the the Russian Bridge over Abernathy, several other projects that came through. But we've been able to do several more projects. A lot of them are infrastructural in nature, and we do get complaints of using urban renewal money, in particular on some of the infrastructural efforts, but I think they in turn have been able, at least in some areas, to trigger redevelopment, and I think they've been important. We've been able to pull forward finally of course we had the big piece that you were here for, and we've also had finally the phase one of McLaughlin. I don't know if we had the dedication on it. If we did, I missed it. Maybe I wasn't invited because it's a new trying to submit about it. I think this is a tremendous step forward in terms of access to the waterfront and a tremendous benefit to the city. We've seen these tremendous growth in the Main Street program with you here. The projects in the Tree Blighted area have been difficult to come forward with. It looks like the Cove project's going to move forward. We have to come to some, I think, common view with the landowner and so forth in terms of what ultimately happens at the landfill, the Rothmans landfill. But I think we've made major progress in that area. The Jack Campbell project, which I hope will go forward in any case. I don't know what happens to that if we've had a major developer step out of the picture, but we've made tremendous progress on many fronts since you've been here. You're very focused, and I think you and have kept us very focused on some of these activities, and I think it's made a great difference in the progress that we've made. You've also brought in, I think, some very excellent staff while you've been here, and our new city manager is going to benefit tremendously. He's not going to be alone in the city manager's office, I think, like you were at the beginning. You've got some excellent support staff. I've had the opportunity of spending a bit more time working with one of them recently, and it is clear to me that you've made some great hiring choices. You look at, I think you look at staff in terms of the contributions they can make. You went out to relative strengths, and in some cases, assign projects to people who have done those kinds of things before, and recognize that those happened before a few other items that they were not originally assigned to. And I think it's very positive in identifying the strengths and then assigning the projects to those people that had those strengths. And I think that's one of the reasons we've seen the advance. I've never heard a staff member ever, maybe they're just afraid of you, complain about you. In fact, the things that I've heard in terms of the people that work for you are form of praise. And given our operational procedures in terms of what a city manager should do, you get praise from your staff, your management staff, and at the same time, keep things going forward. Tremendous credit to you, tremendous credit for us for hiring you.
Mr. Smith. Oregon City definitely looks better. Oregon City is definitely in a better financial position. There's obviously a lot of other things that I didn't feel the same about, or the entire commission, but I think there are some things that have improved in Oregon City under your watch, and some that haven't. But I can respect the good ones, and I think one of them is sitting over here, our new police chief. And I do appreciate the effort that was made by the city manager to have to work with a divided commission and actually attempting most of the time to bridge the gap. And so I definitely wish you luck in your retirement, and thank you.
We have to, unfortunately, we have some reports, I think, that have to come up. I really should say amen. Does anyone have any reports that can't wait?
I've got one, and I'll make it brief. This is one that, the one thing I wanted to mention specifically was that, one of the things coming up for discussion is the climate issues and the goals that are set forward by the city. The big bubble. We're supposed to realize the 35% reduction in greenhouse emissions by 2050 compared to the 1990 levels. Thanks for using the fact that at the same time, local erosion is expected to grow by between 60 and 80%. The reduction of 75% in that period of time corresponds to my calculations of a reduction in 85% emissions per person in order to realize that. This is something that's is aware that is, I think it will be extremely challenging, but it also, I think, is going to really set the decisions that are going to have long-term impacts in terms of the way we grow, the way we develop, and the extremely challenging. There is going to be a joint impact the treatment project for a cycle from 89 to 1230 PM. It's going to be a community crossover. Many people will be speaking at this particular retreat. The other is the only person about the now. And Dr. Williams, Professor Howard Director of the State of International Body and Resource Policy of Texas University. And another cause government and climate change. I will be to people, and I'm sorry I thought about the email that I put out yesterday. But he was also giving a lecture April 1st on the Friday conference at the website for anybody that's interested. He's a foremost expert in the area of climate change and so forth. And it was to make the April 1st a presentation by him. The president of this, I will this to myself, but I will be as going to the retreat. I assume I'm going to go to
Yeah, those are both groups, yeah.
I think it's like one of the most major challenges that policymakers in the metro area are going to be facing is coming these goals. Not having these goals are in any sense realistic, but as I said, an 85% reduction in carbon emissions per individual is daunting.
Since all the projects that approved for the two-pact process, which is the transportation projects, essentially increase greenhouse gases. They increase carbon emissions, so it really is daunting. But we have to do it. Our world depends on it. So, thank you. Is that your finish?
Yes, I think that's sufficient. Smith will take a maybe make a brief comment maybe about the task force we're putting together on the end of the Trail Interpreters Center. Well, probably better yet if Kelly would address that because she's involved in it. And just if you could take comments and see how we're in the process.
Consultant AMS Planning and Research he's based out of St. Louis. The headquarters out of Connecticut is going to be in town April 6th, 7th, and 8th. He has provided us with several letters, one for formation of a task force, one for inviting individual interviewees. Subcommittee, Commissioner Smith, Neely, myself, Scott Archer, and Lloyd Purdy met last fall. We discussed categories to invite within the community, and I'm in the process right now of getting that all pulled together. And hopefully the letters will be in the mail by the end of the week. And so the idea was that the consultants will meet with the task force on Tuesday, April 6th, as well as conduct multiple individual interviews. He will conduct individual interviews all day on the 7th and the morning of the 8th. And one of the things that when I say individual interviews, I mean interview slots. So there's potential that he might do 2, 3, or 4 people at a time in each of those slots. And so this is the first phase. We will be looking at another probably 2 more task force meetings in the next month and a half. That's it.
I want to report on my trip to Washington, D.C. last week. As a the convention between those trip and business, 100 degrees. It was positive, those were wonderful changes and really things that didn't happen. This year, it was depressing. And the questions for administration, transportation is fast. And transportation, besides healthcare and jobs, is stuck. And so we're going to each individually as well as history, and then several other speakers topics, and what happens to everyone is really unhappy with the way things are stuck. So it's really interesting. The transition has been held up now for how many years? 2. It will be and there will be unstuck. I mean, really the only tax contribution is the gas tax. And 1% of gas tax raise brings in $2 billion. So the hundred wants to have 15 cents. And economists realize a part of the after over 50 years of the design of the legislation for 15 cents, and besides, that 15 cents doesn't go to companies that stay locally. So because then after we get to 2011, Obama began securing him again. So it's really, there's much movement for transportation. So the sense of distance for the transportation is guaranteed. We recognize travel. You've heard me talk about that here in Oregon. But it requires a great deal more infrastructure. It requires a shipping and customer cars, a reset stations at various places along the road. So that's where there will be predicted. It doesn't come from each state to take that out, but we're going to use that for several pieces down the road. Earmarks. It's really that we entered the state might do a complete battle on earmarks, which can be directed spending. Earmarks. In the House, for-profit and government will be omitted for using earmarks, and we're not really sure how that's going to shake out. But the transportation is separate. 1 year ago, I got to testify for Oregon City's Main Street program, which is Clackamas County's #1 project. The sidewalks, and then I also testified for the money for the locks funding, which again is the Clackamas County thing. So again, fascinating. We had an opportunity to question and present our case to each of the members of our delegation, who all sit on pretty influential committees. So that was really quite good. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say about that. We met in the Library of Congress building, which, by the way, is one of the most beautiful buildings in all of Washington, D.C. So that was one day, and then the next day we were in the back room of a really better, looked like an old city hall, actually. So the conference was really pretty amazing. Let me see what else I wanted to say. Reauthorize the Build Miracle program, which Senator Wyden put forth last year, and he expected that there would be, maybe $60 billion worth of use of it, it's a $160 billion project. So it has been we can bond to that. Cities can use that as credits because private agencies get to take tax credits off of funding the Build America project. So that's been successful. The other 100% of everyone is really concerned about us telling our stories with our stimulus money. They want individual stories. They want to know what kind of people are being employed, because the American people, as you may know, are really pretty skeptical about how that money has been spent. So we heard that over and over again. Please tell us stories about what good it is doing in your community. So I had to talk about the over 100 people that we're employing in Oregon City for our 2 projects. Certainly, I didn't bring home big bucks, but we certainly, I think, made an impression on the delegation as we always do. And I think our materials, which are here, if you'd like to look at them, very, very well done. And the trip is very, very sponsored. Wherever goes next year if you're on JPAC. So it's a great trip to go and learn and learn the ways of our government at the highest level. Anybody else?
I oftentimes make impressions too, but they're not always that positive.
I don't know if I'd advertise. Why don't you say the words?
We are adjourned.